Welcome back, guys. Of course, we are now into Game 3. SSG, with their return after the first set, are now going to end up playing Kanga. They already won against Envy. Of course, we'll have to see what that they're going to end up doing in this very last set of the day. But, of course, I said we. That means somebody's here with me, and drum roll, please, is Gore.
Hey. I'm up here now. You're right. That is 100% accurate. You are in the realm of truth as we go in for a third set of the day, SSG and Kanga. This is going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready for this as well. Like, I mentioned it before, just a little bit about how the fact that Envy had ended up 4-1-ing Kanga, and now SSG take it 4-2 over them today. So technically, on paper, they should be able to win. At the same time, SSG, of course, they're looking better every single day. Of course, they've had their losses, but after their win against Envy, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be able to come out on top.
This is kind of the question, right? I mean, them getting to play 2 sets in a day obviously is going to work out pretty well for them. Getting a win for the first set tends to help them out, but I mean, we've seen them play 4 sets in a week where they lost the first one, won the last 3. But not only do they have that going for them, this historically has always been an SSG matchup anyway. They beat them 4-2 and 4-3 in the first split, but that's kind of the deal. Kanga was able to get 2 and 3 in those sets, so kind of keeping it close. It was always drafting that caused trouble for SSG, so Kanga in potential to maybe knock them down a peg if they can kind of take this new meta that SSG seemed to adopt earlier and take overall.
I mean, we had... At least, of course, you have SSG versus Kanga. You have to think of at least one of the players, at least on Kanga's side. It's always Jolts, or at least one of the players on Kanga. I mean, I really, really enjoy watching him play, of course. I mean, Kanga, we've seen them bring out the IO. We've seen them do everything, you know, now and again. SSG are slowly adapting to the meta. Maybe Kanga have that to their advantage. Maybe they do. I mean, SSG was looking really good today, especially with implementing what they had. At the same time, though, Joel's very, very prominent member of Kanga.
I'm actually very, very excited to watch Joel's versus Rachao in terms of how prominent they can be on the point. One of the best things about these two teams is how much their tanks do in the game. And the other thing that's also always been interesting to me about Kanga is that Rhino, for the most part, you're going to see Joel's playing point, you're going to see Rhino playing side. They will swap that up. They will change champions depending on map, maybe sometimes who they draft. It's kind of up in the air for them as they make that decision. And so that does give them a good air of maybe mystery about them as they go into it. And Joel's very, very prominent player for the team. Barrick and Nara, either one, both very, very big for not only him, but also Rachao. Either one they take is maybe going to hurt SSG a little bit, but also maybe showcase how strong he can truly be in this draft and how solid of a player he is to help the team kind of center around the point.
Right, of course. I mean, against their opponents, though, SSG, once again, I've said it a few times up here on desk, it's astronomical how much it is that they've already seemed to have grown. I mean, of course, the new patch shook things up in the meta, of course, so it was a little bit easier for them to sort of meld into this spot where they are right now, especially having won against Envy earlier today. But, of course, they're no slouches either. I mean, they were high up in the top 4 for a reason. They did extremely well. And, of course, we're able to see this sort of adaptation, this sort of growth from them as they implemented Terminus, they implemented IO. They've done some really amazing stuff today.
Adaptation and growth is probably the best 2 terms for it. I mean, we saw them earlier and what they were able to do with Envy, but in my eyes, except they have some glaring weak spots on SSG. They absolutely are things that you could maybe take them to and cause trouble for them. I mean, snipers, depending on who gets them, have always been an issue for them. But at the end of the day, they know how to adapt. They adapt mid-game, mid-round, and mid-set. Things that will always be able to help them continue to find victory as time goes forward.
Right, of course. We're going to take a look at the map bans at least, see what both of these teams really want to take off the board, what maps they don't want to deal with. In this case, it is Frog Isle and Shattered Desert. SSG opt to get rid of Frog Isle. Kanga get rid of Shattered Desert and Frozen Guard and Splitstone Core. It's funny because they opt to get rid of Frozen Guard, which is the map that Envy ended up beating them on. It was the map they got their first win on, so they get rid of it this time. I actually like that.
I'm now looking maybe a little deeper into what we had seen earlier from when I asked them in their interview if they were going to ban it.
Yeah.
Maybe I was accidentally giving away some strats, just trying to make a joke. But it is important to note that Fish Market is here, and while SSG are going to go here first, and even though they already have a win on it for today, this is Kanga's map choice.
That is so like SSG, like already they're like, okay, well, Kanga, we know they drafted the IO a little bit, but we're seeing an IO ban here. This is the most respect ban I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I mean, we saw SSG. First off, they won with it earlier as well here. Kanga were the team that pretty much did it last week. So kind of recognizing what Kanga was able to accomplish with it as well as what they were able to accomplish with it. This, in my mind, this hands down might be one of IO's best maps to be able to come through just because of what it enables you to do and how the kind of play style, I guess, of Fish Market is. And so her being gone, I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, on an unrelated note, of course, I mean, they get rid of Strix, they get rid of the Makoa Atlas, of course, the two usual suspects, Strix being abandoned as we see him rise up in popularity a little bit over time here. Cassie being the first pick on SSG, Space Station Gaming side. I'm really just sort of floored by this IO ban because of the fact that that means that, of course, SSG, since they've drafted IO before, we know Kanga to be able to draft this IO pick. And once again, not only is it a respect ban, but it's like, of course, they will be able to know to do some things on top of the fact that it is also Fish Market first map. So that's another interesting thing. SSG were able to actually pick this map. Kanga has second pick, so they'll be able to pick the map after this one. But Fish Market, Eevee, being on Kanga's side, they're trying to consider who they want to go for, at least their second and third pick.
Definitely more aggressive style map. I think grabbing Cassie first, it's an interesting switch up, but honestly, that's in my mind, pull it away from Chronix. It's about as fast as possible. That's Ares will perform on this, Freeze God can perform on this, but let's make sure that Chronix does not have this in his arsenal. They give Evil Eye Eevee, and they give Barrick over to Joel's, which might cause some trouble later on. I think Barrick, if you have to take out IO, Barrick is probably my favorite tank to play on this map just because of how well he can kind of play around the point. And, you know, his survivability just in and of itself. So it's going to be up to SSG to figure out a good way to deal with him. They did it earlier, but they had IO on their side when they did it.
Yeah, Genos and Nara being hovered here. Of course, they can end up being picked. Genos Ruckus. Okay, I was about to bring up a little bit of a question as to why the Inara. We don't see Genos really couple with Inara like that. At the same time, Genos Ruckus.
I'll be
pretty good. We saw SSG. Well, not SSG. Envy was the one that actually picked Ruckus earlier, but still. A good pick, nevertheless. Cassie, Genos, Ruckus already. Into Barrick, Eevee, do you feel like that could be a good draft into them? I mean, of course, the Cassie being able to break those shields, but at the same time, Ruckus, Genos, I mean, like, what's the thought process here?
It works really well, and this is, again, I think I had mentioned it earlier. They could potentially go, I mean, what do they do? Con Ruckus, and we're playing all-out aggression with Rachao on Con, Sadak on Ruckus. You can very much swing something like that and have it work with a Genos behind him because it's just enough supplementary healing and shielding from the tanks to be able to kind of keep themselves alive so you don't have to worry about them. Genos on his own will do enough healing to maybe keep Cassie and one other DPS alive. And then all of them get a Luminary boost to be able to burn through. It's good hit scan pressure from Ruckus to maybe deal with Eevee. Hexafire, probably one of the best ults in the game in terms of raw damage output. As long as you find the right positioning for it. In Fish Market, you want to get aggressive. You want to fight.
Barrick, Eevee, Leon, Khan. Aggression and all of those characters right there. It can be played aggressive if they really want to. Fernando, Maeve as well. Now, I was about to say they were about to actually end up picking two off tanks, but of course, with the Fernando changes, he could be played on point if he wants to, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he used to be, well, he used to be a point tank, and he should always, almost in my mind, be considered a point tank. But a lot of teams adopted it as, especially with the way he used to be played, he would be really good as an off tank because he just did so much damage with Fireball. And with the loadout, depending on what they are using here for SSG, they're kind of mimicking what they have seen out of Na'Vi. He does a ton of damage with his Fireball, and he can survive, and his shield will stay up a lot. There's just a lot that can go right here for them if they have the right loadout. And from top to bottom, a lot of flexibility with the Cassie and the Maeve. You don't know who's going who. Get the Genos behind it. I really, really like their draft.
Right, exactly. Kanga opting to lock out this Furia potentially. Now, here's what's interesting. We brought up the aggression before, at least, that Fish Market could be a kind of aggressive map. Do you think the fact that SSG are running this comp, do you think Kanga picks the Furia to try and counteract that with that Inflame whenever it has the possibility of coming up?
It definitely feels like that's the case. They get the Eevee Leon, which, again, toe for toe are going to maybe match the Cassie and the Maeve. They will need the Inflame from the Furia, though, to maybe overcome and overwhelm the Luminary boost that they're almost constantly going to have.
It makes a lot of sense. Game 1 already on its way. Both teams are locked in. Very last set of the day. I'm sure we'll be in for a banger. Casters, take us away.
Thank you very much, Font and Gore. As you said, third and final set of this Thursday about to kick off. Myself, Dolson, and Kresnik calling it for you. And we were kind of discussing coming in here, you know, SSG looked great this morning.
Yeah.
Kanga over the past couple of weeks have suddenly started to improve themselves. This one may be just too tough to call right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's hard to predict how these teams are going to look. I mean, doubleheader SSG is kind of scary. Remember,
Especially when they win the first one.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe not so far this phase, but we've seen some pretty good Paladins out of doubleheader SSG. Specifically, I think the most dominant they've ever looked was that week where they played 4 games, and I think only dropped
Calculated.
3 maps.
Delayed entry to the country is calculated, I think, in this case.
They're finally feeling themselves. I think they're finally getting used to this, and I can tell that they are because of this draft. It's kind of out there for them. I mean, not the Ruckus, but the Nando point tank, something that we don't see a lot from them. But it really is a sign that they're starting to finally get there and adapt to this meta.
Well, as game 1 kicks off, we're going to have to see just how SSG are feeling. Kanga looking to make their mark on this week as well. Fish Market can be streaky. Depends how you start. Sadak with an early start around the right-hand side here, just zoning out a couple. Now you have Freeze God here to help as well. The Maeve Cassie composition, definitely one that SSG have felt comfortable with. You're right, though. They kind of throw a twist in there with the Fernando, but it's going to be Ares on the Cassie as Joel's takes up point tanking positions.
Ares now able to spam onto the Baron from the point, and even like backs up and gets caught up by Freeze God. Getting just DPS trades right now, but I feel like Spacestation have a good position. Depends on if Shao can get away here, and looks like barely just be able to moonwalk away. Kanga very close together, and Sadak might overextend a little bit and go down.
That's a good commander's grab, sets up a kill on a silver platter for Chronix, who slides backwards. Scara helps him get the kill there as well. Rochelle tosses up the shield, not enough to save his life though, and 45% for Kanga. Spacestation were only able to get about 3%. They had this big kind of roundabout flank collapse going on. Kanga able to weather that storm as they get to 72%.
A little bit of a rush for sure from SSG. Sadak kind of just ending under the entirety of Kanga, getting rained down on. Not able to catch up. Great commander's grab onto FRC while he was trying to get in. He caught him mid-prowl and stopped him from touching the objective, guaranteeing this for Kanga. Now that's going to snowball these kills and just even further their credit advantage.
Here goes Chronix opening up with the couple. And already Sadak, or Rochelle rather, on the Fernando. Last one alive on his team around to the left-hand side there. Chronix starting to feel himself a little bit early on in this game. 5-0-2 for the Leon. Only 1 kill for SSG to hang their hat on. That was Freeze catching out Evil Eye at the very beginning of that mid, and nothing else from there is connected.
Chronix is definitely someone that Kanga have to rely on. I think he's been inconsistent, but his performance recently has been pretty solid. Midnight, an aggressive play to start here from SSG, but neither of the ultimates really finding any value quite yet.
I think that's smart, though. They realize on Kanga's side that he's probably going to try to flank around his FRZ. Catches one too many shots from Chronix, has to dash back around. Mid-Tow getting plugged away at Rhino, gets the kill. 1.5 minutes left as the frontliners begin to fall. There's a Maeve in the back line, but the Maeve needs to be on the payload if they want to prevent this one from going in. She's not going to be there, and Kanga, they go up 2-0 in convincing fashion.
Great adaptation by Kanga there at the end. We're getting threatened, immediately regroup call has done really well into SSG twice in a row. I think even though they have such an aggressive comp, Spacestation's going to kind of have to slow their pace just a little bit, let them group up, and then take the space that's being given up while the team's trying to deathball, because it's great when you're getting dove, but if you're all sitting in one spot, you're just giving up a lot of map control.
And map control to that point has all been for Kanga. A lot of it thanks to that man, Chronix. 6-0-3 for the Leon. Getting kind of matched damage-wise. Ares at 0-3, but you know, only a couple thousand behind what the 6-0-3 Leon on the enemy team was able to do. First round of items starting to come through as well. Double wrecker for Gera on the Furia. Little extra shield break for them. Helps with Sadak, helps with Rochelle. Nothing wrong with that.
When your tanks are so shield-centric, it definitely makes sense, I think, to get Wrecker on your Furia. It's one of the reasons why she's kind of so popular. You can kind of get whatever. You don't need Chronos. You can adapt depending on what the enemy brings. Scout for SSG to try to find a pick, but just a little bit too far away surrounding, and the longer this fight goes, the longer Joel's is on the objective, it's kind of sided towards Kanga.
Joel stepped off the objective here. Sadak looking for some value from the Hexafire. Plugs away. Gera right into the range of the Hexafire. Finds death on that avenue. Joel's gets a little frontline presence mitigated from Space Station Gaming as he finds the kill. Onto Rashao. Neil says Chronix, but Die says Freeze Guy, who finds the daggers. Evil Eye blinks in, returns fire onto the flank. Kanga Esports. Rhino's probably going to dash out here. He's going to die. Still on the point though are Kanga, but a better looking mid, at least still in the conversation, are SSG.
Ruckus and Cast are like the worst possible characters still have alive at this point. Sadok's so low, backs up into areas that no one's able to chase. I thought that beam might have been going right for him. I was a little scared for him, but
the slow approach.
yeah, the SSG have a retouch here, and we'll have to see how they manage to take this ground. Eric very, very low, and they're pushing onto him, and no one looks like they're in position to peel, but the Inflame might turn this around.
Inflame, Joel's didn't know that danger was behind him, and Ares knew right where to be. It's a 2-for-2 trade to start this off. Freeze God dancing back and behind, looking for an angle to re-engage right now as Rhino takes up point tanking duties. Chronix continues his tear with a double kill. Lost his original streak, regained a new one, and make it 3 for Kanga.
This deep flank just isn't working out for FRZ. I think he needs to play a little bit tighter to his Ruckus maybe on these dives. If the damage is there, it's gonna change it. It's gonna make a difference, I feel. Right now though, Scout means FRZ has nowhere to hide, and he goes down on the flank, and now they're gonna get surrounded by Barrick and Eevee.
Evil Eye's able to take advantage of that one. Good for SSG that Ares was able to get a kill. But it might be all for Peanuts. He has to dodge roll back. A couple shots from Evil Eye would have gotten him the kill. Did not connect. As that's a subtle break maybe for Space Station Gaming as Kanga continue to inch closer here. Top damage in the game now taken over by Ares. But then you're immediately followed up by both of the damage dealers and the Barrack for Kanga. You gotta find a defense here if you don't want to go down early in this set.
That's also impressive for Ares considering how many shields he's shooting into too. I mean, doing that while also breaking shields is pretty big. Look at where SSG's playing. They're pinched so far in the back left. Ares goes down to the Enlightenment. Through time and space can't slow them down at all, and Kanga's just swarming them.
And now if you can start to steamroll this fight, you might just steamroll the game. You know Freeze God is somewhere behind you. Chronix trying to play this one carefully, but they're fine. They're just going to turn their backs to the rest of the team, inch this payload on through. I'm not sure they're in range to get a touch. Ares dodge rolls forward, but the dome shield goes down, and so does Kanga in win number 1.
Yeah, the deep flank again at the last second. FRZ tries to run away, come back in at the right time, but Kanga's just ready. Playing together lets them turn around and zone that out, and Kanga takes SSG's map too. Don't forget that.
Yep.
This is where SSG wanted to be, and Kanga looked that dominant on
Well,
it.
they felt good against Envy earlier today.
Yeah.
The first set of the day on Fish Market, traditionally a very Envy-centric map.
Yeah.
And now Space Station elect to go back there again, and this one wasn't even close. This is start to finish a Kanga Esports game. You gotta give a nod to Chronix there. Huge, huge game on the Leon.
Yeah, Leon's so good at kind of dealing with the flanker. So FRZ, I think it's kind of what might have forced him to go back there so much. Normally, we think Ruckus into Leon, much better matchup than Ruckus into Cassie. Probably why they were happy to get that, but Chronix just kept his distance, was never really able to be threatened by that aggressive dive presence from Space Station.
Do you think that added kind of wreck or two from the Furia maybe tilted things a little bit further away from that Ruckus matchup?
Definitely sided the point tank fight in the favor of the Barrack, I think. Just that extra shield break. Nando, he kind of lives or dies by his shield sometimes, and with that extra wrecker, it's much more dying than living by the shield.
Yeah, a little bit more death than life here for the Fernando in this game. Great start for Kanga, 4-0 on Fish Market. Looking to follow that up right after this break.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
From you, Excuse me, but I won't buy into your big lie. No need to bother me tonight. They shoot you down this time and I won't fight. I got my head held high.
Welcome back, guys. Kanga clearly making this out to be a very, very quick set already with a game 1 in the books, a 4-0 on Fish Market. Their map pick, once again, we see that they do end up taking it over SSG, but we still got plenty of games to go, Corey.
And even with IO being banned away from them, it was kind of like that was the question mark, is IO that big of a deal? Is she not going to be that big of a deal? How important is that to Kanga winning? The answer is it might be helpful, but it's not the ever-living pin that holds it together. They pull it apart. And, well, I mean, that one was pretty much all Chronix all day. The rest of the team did really well as well, all on top of that. But SSG, I mean, it just kind of felt like maybe they weren't even there in the fight for half of it.
Yeah, Ares with the 48,572 damage on SSG side. But at the same time, he was 2-6. The slash lines here on SSG side tell the better story. At least 6-2, 1-2, 3-1, 4-1, and Chronix at 10-1. You already brought it up before. Chronix, one of the driving forces of this entire map.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those moments where it's like you take the Cassie early on, Ares can play it well, Freeze God can play it well, but you also maybe try to scoop it away from Chronix. But the bad news bears for you is that he's, well, very, very good at a lot of champions, and so Leon is, well, on that list as far as we can tell. 10-1. And it was phenomenal, the way he was able to kind of find it. Good angles that he played through as well. Very aggressive, but it all worked out for the better with his team. It all worked in tandem.
I mean, it was definitely rough for SSG in this case. I mean, you give somebody like Chronix a lead on Leon, or not even really a lead. Just give him Leon, give him Cassie. He normally does extremely well with it. We saw it on Frozen Guard before when they opted to play on that map. I mean, at the same time, Chronix, very, very influential DPS on Kanga's side. We're going to take a look at the maps, though, and see what we have in store for Game 2 already.
Yeah. This one will be the pick SSG one, just so Kanga did take second pick on the first map, but it was their pick overall. So taking Fish Market, not too outlandish. I mean, if you look at it that way, 1-for-1 on the day for SSG to be able to go for it. Not a map a lot of teams have in their wheelhouse, so even being able to get one, I would say, is pretty impressive. But Bright Marsh, definitely something more up SSG's alley.
Yeah, I mean, a much more closer together map. Don't have to really deal with that fishbowl on point with Fish Market. Of course, SSG banning out the May first. Willow follows that soon up with Kanga and Atlas on SSG side. Yeah, these drafts are actually going by pretty quickly. They know what they want to get out of the way, and they definitely are doing it. Maeve, Atlas, Willow. So far, Kanga might end up banning out Makoha.
Definitely recommended in this kind of instance,
Yeah.
and they are going to go ahead and go forward with it. Willow definitely taking more of a mainstay down there on certain maps. Bright Marsh being one of those very strong maps that she can, well, spread her wings on and showcase a lot of prowess. And this is how you know we've entered a different kind of tier, I would say, of set when it comes down to Blaster play. Eevee being scooped away to make sure Evil Eye doesn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, first pick for SSG in this case, of course, Kanga are going to take a little bit to consider who it is they might try and go for. Of course, they still have the frontliners open. They have their supports. Of course, you have your damages as well. Haven't really picked anything yet, so they have plenty of options to choose from where they want to immediately counter out that Eevee and deny SSG their own picks, or if they just want to leave it open and aren't too afraid of what SSG might answer back with in these first, second, and third picks.
Have to see what exactly they're going to be able to kind of pull through. Like you said, both, well, all of the frontliners really, other than, well, the two that are banned, open for them. Barrick was very kind to them last time. Khan, very kind to them last time. Furia has been very, very essential, it feels like. It's either Furia or Grover lately for Gera. So not too surprising to see them maybe prioritize that, try to strip it away from SSG. Does leave the Genos open, but that matchup was definitely in favor of Kanga last map.
Yeah, I mean, Barrick is being hovered right now on SSG's side, of course. Probably might end up doing what they did last time, get this frontliner, get the healer out of the way too. And you brought up a good point. Kanga, Furia, and Grover, both of them are really, really strong, of course, on their own. But at the same time, you give them to Kanga, and you see a whole different type of beast. I mean, having that Inflame from Furia, Kanga really seemed to know how to play around that aggression really, really well.
Not only that, but being able to utilize it in the right times. One of the biggest issues I think I've seen with other Furias in the last few weeks has just been popping Inflame because you have Inflame, or popping it even like on the retreat, popping it when your teammate is maybe too low to go back in. There's been a lot of moments where it's like that could have been very efficient. I mean, SSG even did it earlier, where it's like it could have been very effective if you had full health, or if they had maybe half of their health bar back from what's been missing. But it will be essential, I think, to team fights and to team wins. Holding onto it is key, but also recognizing how fast it charges is key, and playing around both of those. And so far, Kanga has been the most consistent, I think, hitting it at the prime opportunities.
Evie, Leon, Barrick on SSG side. Already 3 characters there. They're, of course, going to answer back with their own 2. Nara being hovered right now, as well as the Strix as well on Bright March. I mean, we saw it before with Musu on it, very last set. I mean, Krezit brought up the point that Kanessa, we've seen her play it on Bright March before as well. At the same time, though, it's still more shocking to me because Strix doesn't have the movement. He has the invisibility, but that could be countered out with Illuminate. So it's always impressive to see a Strix be brought out on a map as close as Bright March.
He's got good damage. It's very few angles, but they're very effective angles. And that's really where his strength comes through on this map. And I'm actually surprised to see that be a Moldamba. That feels like a Genos draft up and down.
Yeah.
They're going to go for the Moldamba at the end. But Strix can absolutely work here. I mean, we, again, have seen it work today.
Right.
It's just a question of if they are able to kind of sit in the angle they want to. Now with an Eevee maybe harassing him, might cause some more trouble there. Presumably Chronix.
Right. Last pick is open. Kanga have plenty of time to choose what they opt to go for here. And it's going to be BK. It's going to be Bomb King to be able to close that out. Interesting that there's not really a Drogos. We've seen a Drogos before on this map, and it seems to be the go-to pick. At least I feel like Drogos and Bomb King have that little bit of flexibility, but against their team comp, is it because of the Grumpy Bomb? Is it because of the way he can throw him past the shields and Barrick and them have to be worried about it? Or
honestly, so it becomes down to player preference, and a huge chunk of it will absolutely land with Bomb King's good with CQC. Close quarters combat is where he likes to live. Grumpy Bomb's very good on the point, but if you're locked in apartments with him, where are you going to run? Like, Grumpy Bomb's going to connect. It's very easy for him to hit bombs. There's a lot of areas there that maybe Drogos wouldn't play in that Bomb King's going to be able to control. And I think it's the work of how does that work in tandem with the Strix to control the map as a whole. Drogos kind of play like Guardian Angel for Strix, keep people off him that way. Bomb King might be able to aggress in through apartments and clear him out the good old-fashioned way.
yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, whose draft do you like more actually in this case? I'm feeling Kanga's a little bit. I like the Furia draft it was that they had before last game. I mean, this game, especially coupling that with a BK, coupling that with a Strix and Naracon, means that all of them are now heavily prioritized threats when you have to deal with the Inflame. Of course, they have the Eva Leon on SSG side, so it'll be a little bit harder for Strix to be able to peek against that Leon. At the same time, though, comps are already locked in. Game 2 is on its way.
Kanga looking to swing 2 times out of 2 to start off this set, and they draft themselves a little bit of spiciness. Wow, I am all over the place.
You just miss Nick.
I do miss Nick. They get themselves Furia, and then another look at Strix on Bright Marsh. Where do you think he falls? Do you think it's a fine pick?
Yeah, I mean, he's basically a mid-ranger at this point. Honestly, I'm qualifying him with the Cassie, Leon, Shaw, Victor. He definitely belongs in that range of champions when you're good enough with him. You know, if you're hitting those quick scopes consistently, it's great to have him on your team. I liked the concept of what SSG started with there. Ban Mave, pick Eevee. We have the only real flanker now, but it put Evil Eye onto Bomb King, and I don't know how happy I am with giving him, you know, one of his signature champions.
I mean, he did the play like a pro for BK, so that's for good reason. That's aggressive. SSG trying to take apartment side here. Kanga answering back with just a rotation back behind the point a little bit as Freeze God now gets in behind Evil Eye. Blasts a shot away, but he gets it nice and topped off. Good mid-ranged air shot there, shoulder bash. Up underneath Freeze God for SSG to keep their off tank alive. On the point too long just yet. Joel's with the opening kill, 42% for Kangas. They're now able to move forward. Aries stunned up. Joel's though, just a little bit damage. Rhino's able to find the kill as Midtow answers back.
Joel's extends a little bit too far without having damage reduction, and that gives SSG, honestly, their first flash of life in this. Gara trying to finish the cap, but just can't. Smart play by Evileye, but even smarter by FRZ to know not to blink straight to the point. They had their touch. He didn't have to worry about it.
Laid down the trap, but it would not get tripped. Freeze God still in range, 15% for Space Station Gaming. Kanga were able to convert one pick into this much point control here. Now back onto the point, 1-for-1 trade. Gara's down though for Kanga. This is bad for their frontliners, unless the rest of the backline for Kanga is going to be able to win this fight as Joel's gets put out into the ice block for Freeze God, and away he goes. Good shot from Chronix. SSG only have 24%, so Kanga can slow play this match.
Yeah, Kanga can play slow because of that specifically, and they don't have the healers, so they don't want to lose any health. They kind of have to play off of their passive heals. Rochelle going down, Freeze is blocking the point, but it doesn't matter. You only got 33%. Even if that was the most important touch, objective still goes to Kanga.
Yeah, what a well-calculated fight that was from Kanga. They find one pick, get themselves to 90%, then start to realize, all right, we lose our healer. Let's just kite backwards, but slow play it, use the overpower, seal it up. And a great start to Bright Marsh for the Ruse.
I also want your opinion on this. Kanga's draft screams Navi to me.
No, I agree. I saw it. And it was similar to like how SSG drafted in the last game. It looks like now Kanga are taking some notes as well. I definitely agree. I think that there's some Navi tones to this Kanga draft. And, it seems to be working, at least up to this point.
I actually was really hyped for Sadak for a second. I thought he was about to get a 2K, but those are both members of his own team. Ares peeking out, gets taken down by Chronix. Thought he could have a flank, but just ready for it. And now Kanga, this is a great comp, I think, to be pushing with.
Yeah.
Around the corner damage through the window from the BK, as you're seeing right now, and the long range that Chronix can play at and be effective here, it's going to be so hard for the backlines on Space Station. It's going to be so hard for Ares to do anything into Chronix. He basically can only play on this far right in a kind of limited sightline.
Shao's going to toss down the dome shield. Try to buy them some space. Evileye fills it though. Seismic Crash rips down Sadak and Rochelle, both dead. Ares, the only answer for Space Station Gaming. It's him and Midtow up on the high ground, and that's not that effective when you have Chronix on a sniper. Midtow has to slither down. He gets deleted. And Kanga, they've won 6 straight points now, 2 of them being here on Bright Marsh.
And Kanga have always been, I think, a pretty good team to put against SSG. Just look like historically 4-2, 4-3, I believe,
Sure.
is their backing until now. And now that they've kind of, I say, really awakened as a team, I'm not surprised that this is going like this. SSG found an answer in the past, and I'm not sure, honestly, what that answer is going to be right now. The point fight seems pretty tough for them. Kanga know they have the advantage if they play this slow. They have so much pressure that SSG will have to get through just to get onto the important targets on their team. It's going to be hard. I think it's going to be kind of a lot on the back of Ares not overextending into Chronix.
Right.
And on FRZ getting in and out safely. The DPSs have to really limit the amount of damage that they take so that once their tanks find their opportunity and really can go in, they're not forced out of the fight.
The front lines have not had the best opportunity for Space Station just yet. 12 streak for Rhino on the con. Showing him why. That's one of his best champions. Double Dread Serpent into the Ice Storm. Sends Evileye running, but they don't end up getting the kill. Sadak finally up to the high ground. Does take advantage, but that puts him in an unfavorable spot, and Chronix is able to take advantage of that one. Freeze God soars around to the side, blinks up and over, but stays alive, gets himself some healing. 69, 72% now for Kanga. This entire time they've just been fighting from the point. Space Station have to fight back into it. Inflame, though, might just seal up this fight.
Yeah, this Inflame is going to be so tough to push into. So much overwhelming damage. King Bomb from Evileye finds Sadak. No assert dominance quite yet. Overpower 2 coming in.
Lines.
Every ultimate is on the board, and it's going to just guarantee this for Kanga.
That was the perfect ultimate rotation for Kanga Esports. Everything you could hope for, you use just a little bit to try to engage. And then also you look back for what SSG used. They tossed the Dread Serpent up to the high ground, the Ice Storm down onto Evileye as well. He was able to stay alive just an extra little bit of time. And everything else went wanting by the side. Kanga saving their important overpower, Inflame, King Bomb, everything just to stall out the retake, and that's a winning combination.
Very aggressive start by Kanga. Are they not? Okay, they actually weren't pushing the card for a minute there. I think they forgot, but they were a little too excited to get aggressive. Finally, now the card moving. Some people got a little bit low as Gara went back to touch the card, but space getting retaken. I also want to point out that you don't see a lot of BK, but FRZ still remembers that EV tech.
Yes.
You get stuck in Ice Block, you shoot straight down, clears the stickies below you. Assert Dominance coming in for Sadak to try to make some room, and they do get Gera off the back of it, so SSG might finally be able to stabilize here.
That's all SSG need right now, I think, is just some level of stability on the defense. Jules is able to get a kill, so that's just going to stall things out a little bit. Good shots from Sadak. Jules still in the back line here, trying to cause some trouble. He's likely to get staggered out, which he does. I guess there's no spot for an Anar to kind of hide out back there around the corner. They probably knew he was there. I'm trying to think of any other way that could have gone for him, but I don't think there's anything. As Kanga now are...
Not without Summit 5.
Right, yeah. In one world, in one loadout, there's certainly a way that he turns that around, but it's not right there. That's a good another double combination. Dread Serpent into the Ice Storm. Ares takes advantage to the tune of 2. Kanga answer back with the same, so no ground gain, no ground loss just yet.
They do play a little bit too fast off of it, though. I think they could have maybe just slow pushed off of the 2 picks that they had. They committed a couple ultimates to make that work. Dread Serpent and Ice Storm, again, used on Evil Eye. An interesting combo to commit onto a Bomb King.
Right.
Really, because Ice Storm doesn't stop him from using Poppy Bomb.
Right.
So he can still get away from it, but definitely a good way to focus it down. Another ultimate used, and looks like things are coming out all across the board. King Bomb here on the side, and they have no way to stop it.
And he's going to stun up Rashao, which means a dead Barrack. Good shot from Chronix as Freeze God blinks through into the ice block around the corner. Evil Eye is going to try to find the kill, watching out for that blink back, setting the trap. Freeze God's too smart for that, though. But the rest of the fight in the background still rages on, and Kanga Esports are winning that one. Overtime's going to begin here. Spacestation Gaming have to find a defense. Freeze God is still off in no man's land, way behind Kanga right now. Spacestation now are starting to respawn, and they're at a 4v5 disadvantage until Freeze can re-engage.
And Chronix in such a strong position because Ares can't really contest him. Rashao goes down. That's the point tank out of the way. Sadak actually knocks Inara off the point, but Gera dashes in at the last second to replace him. Assert Dominance used, and it's 4 ultimate economy left for SSG.
Yeah, if nothing else, if they're able to defend, they're not going to have too much to recap. A double kill from Evil Eye. He wants to end it right now. He's off in the back line, still not dead, finding some shots. Freeze God finally gets rid of the Bomb King. Now it's down to Joel's. The Inara is not going to do that great in 1v3 scenarios. Finally, Space Station Gaming grabbed themselves a point, but what a start from Kanga.
FRC came back into that fight like a one-off bit character in a sitcom.
Yeah, right.
Coming back 5 seasons later. Like the guy who helped
me?
The guy who helped Frasier move in the first
Sure.
episode of Frasier was also the guy who helped him move out in the last one.
Right.
That was FRZ there. It's like, I'm the same guy. I've been here the whole time. Thank you.
That's a deep cut, and and Freeze God loves it. He's on a 5 streak now, so at 4, 5, and 12, at least 5 of those have come at 5 deaths. So starting to come into his own a little bit. Enters the fight late, gets some kills though. Maybe flying that far away preserved that streak, so you know, any way you slice it, he's still on a 5. Rhino still a good slash line. Kanga Esports looking to make it 2 with the win on this mid, and they've had the mid fights figured out. Space should need to change something up.
It is just so hard for SSG to go in through the pressure, and Inflame's going to make that even harder. Sustain on the point for Kanga right now. Sadak trying to make something happen, but the rest of SSG has to play so tentative. Ares basically on 300 HP, and Kanga still holding that objective strong.
Ares caught a shot with his face there and had to slide out. A lot of that Leon damage. Notwithstanding, Evil Eye yet again, he has caught the Dread Serpent Ice Storm combo 3 times throughout this game. This time SSG are at least able to follow up on it, and Chronix on the end of his stealth is likely to fall down here. Keep himself safe. Finally, Sadak gets the kill. 75% for Kanga, though. You're going to have fast cap if you're SSG. Kanga just trying to stall things out.
They get Seismic Crash on the point. Get Ares so low, but he's not running the 1 extra ammo in his loadout, Jules. No, you would have gotten that kill. They might still be able to touch the objective. Ares pulled through the wall because of the timing.
Yeah, they
and
save the ults again.
Kanga will equalize it, and they have cap time.
And they still have King Bomb to maybe stop the re-engage here from Space Station Gaming. They're not going to need it. The Poppy Bomb in my eyes. Yeah, I was ready for the re-engage. Doesn't matter. No touch from Space Station Gaming. Kanga take it 4-1. At least a point for SSG this time around, but Kanga look unstoppable.
That was definitely a little bit of panic, I'd say, coming from SSG that last moment. Got to figure out who's going to touch that objective. It's something really important. As it's getting closer, give it at least 15, 18% before. You have to be saying, who's getting touched?
Right.
It's literally the most important thing. If everyone wants to get a kill, one person, give that away. You have to contest that objective.
Seems to be a problem in the PPL over the last couple of weeks. We've seen one too many of those, just nobody moving forward to get the touch. Game 2, same result as Game 1. Game 3 waits in the wings right after this break.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Another convincing win for Kanga in the books. Already up 2-0 against SSG. Bright Marsh, that map is already said and done with a victory for Kanga in this case. And I'm excited to see how the rest of this set is going to play out.
I mean, they do exactly what they need to, right? You start a set off, you win your map, you win their map, you're up 2-0. You are in the best scenario you could be. That being said, it does open up the door for SSG to choose the next map and maybe cause some trouble for you. And I mean, damage numbers, again, SSG don't look bad in that instance. 61k there for Ares, 64k there for Freeze God. Both of which, I mean, if you bump that 61 to a 62, don't look too bad. But it comes down to the fact that Rhino had a really, really good run. Joel's had a really good run. Chronix had a really good run. Like, everybody on Kanga was just able to convert that damage into kills.
Yeah, 9-3 and 16 already. I mean, once again, we already brought up his name, but Rhino on the con, just a little bit too much for SSG to deal with. You already see him here, of course, laying into these guys. And, of course, just being in the right spot. Of course, he's going to be rotating with some of their targets like bomb kicks. So they're going to be able to control a lot of this stuff. This was beautiful, actually. Getting that overpower right through the window to be able to confirm that kill for his team, which is what converted them into that win on Brightmarsh.
Just being able to find it again. Kind of a steamroll from the top bottom. They were able to find a little bit of a pause as SSG, but that was about all that they had in terms of brevity. Now going forward with it, this is, map 3. They get to do their choice. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Serpent Beach to maybe try and equalize things out, but SSG, it's kind of feeling shaky.
Yeah, I agree. Jaguar Falls, though, a map it is that we don't, well, I can't say that we don't typically see. Jaguar Falls is a map that we do indeed see. One of the usual suspects, actually. Going to try and slow things down. Of course, it's another close quarters map, CQC. This plays close quarter combat. Willow is first ban on SSG side. And that's going to be really, really not interesting, but of course a ban it is that we typically see as well.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too surprising to maybe see Willow. If Strix gets banned in this one,
yeah,
I will be surprised,
weird, yeah.
just because it's not something too often. Kanga has had players in the past that have been willing to pull out a sniper on Jag Falls, but hasn't happened in a while. Hasn't happened in the Premier League, I think, at all. So definitely not too surprising to maybe see him forgotten about. Makoa, Atlas probably going to be the Kanga bans, which then leads the question. Furia, who has been very big for Kanga just so far in this set, but also Grover, both very, very good on this map. Kanga have gone con 2 times in a row. Ash is something that they have kind of favored in the past as well, can very much do a lot of work on this map. A lot of options that are open and a lot of avenues to explore.
First lock in the con, of course. Kanga looking at their second and third pick, or at least considering their second and third pick. They actually got rid of the Cassie. Do you think that is a direct answer to Chronix? We haven't seen a Cassie ban, not only all day, but we don't see it rarely ever. So this Cassie ban, do you feel like that's what they're trying to aim for?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's a shot because Evil Eye and Chronix can both play it really well. So can Freeze, so can Ares. But if SSG already kind of have the mentality of we're not picking her,
right,
then get rid of her. It also might signify that they might go something maybe a little more oriented, kind of heavily oriented on the side of counterable by Cassie. If they decide maybe to do what they did earlier, go the Con Ruckus route.
A single breath.
Both of those champions struggle against the Cassie.
Well, you brought it up before, Gore. Kanga had a reputation of picking snipers on this map before. They don't ban the Strix. Instead, Kanga ends up locking it in. Furia, Strix, the first two characters they will go for on Kanga's side. And of course, SSG are trying to follow
I
this
will
up
fight to
with
protect
Anara
the sanctity
Maeve.
of the wild.
Already, it's looking kind of rough for the Strix considering how close together this map is.
It's going to be difficult, especially, yeah, like what you said, with the Maeve coming into it. Anara going to be pretty tanky. Good walls will circumvent the Strix's damage. But it does depend also on where he's going to play, who he's going to end up going against. If SSG go for a Leon later on, then that might cause just as much trouble for the Leon as it does for the Strix. It does depend on maybe a Blaster if they want to go a Drogoz on the side of Kanga. That might thwart their plan for a little bit later. But Strix, he's good. We'll see if he's good enough to make Jack Falls work. Again, very close quarters. There's maps where, parts of the map, I should say, where he can absolutely shine. But Jesus, it's going to be hard to make those work if he does not get his way. If the fight doesn't start the way he wants it to, he might not have any impact at all.
The draft's looking a little bit better here. Of course, they have the Bomb King, they have the Barrack. We see Bomb King brought out on Jack Falls from time to time. Barrack, of course, a mainstay point tank in any composition, regardless of what it is you want to try and go. Damba being hovered on SSG's side. Of course, they have one more character that they can pick. More than likely, their other damage dealer in this case. You brought up the fact that Leon might make it even a little bit more rough for Strix to try and deal with, but what do you see this potential aspect be?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see it be a Leon. If they want to, though, they could swing Maeve Drogoz, send Freeze to Drogoz, Ares on Maeve, or insert other Blaster here. I mean, we've seen, and it's not too far-fetched to think of an EV on this map, but not sure I'm truly going to be feeling it. It kind of depends on how threatened they are by Strix.
Interesting.
And I'll admit, Vivian was not on my list of champions I was about to name.
Well, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't have been on mine either, Gore. I mean, the Vivian being locked in here, okay, yeah, this is what they are opting to go for, is the Vivian. Maldamba being hovered, but he's more likely going to get picked as well. He is. Now, tell me a little bit about this Vivian. What can she bring that you might see the SSG pick, especially on a map like this?
Shield melting, consistency.
Right.
And a lot of damage in terms of when the Sentinels come online. She's good to kind of deal with Barrack, and I think that's going to come and deal with Bomb King as well. Bomb King, I think Tyra, well, I know Tyra is definitely a little tankier than he is, but he is on the tankier side, usually run about 2450 if they run King's New Cloak at max level for his health. So it's a lot to burn through, and between him, the shielding, the health bars for Barrack and Ashe, Vivian's definitely going to be able to kind of play a role in that aspect. This is a better map for her than what we saw earlier when she was played through on, I believe, Frozen Guard. So it can absolutely work. I like to think of her on this map kind of like
Let's fight.
in the same position as like what Ruckus would want to do, where he's just, I'm going to fire at you forever standing over here. And if it doesn't go my way, I'm just going to get out. If it does go my way, then maybe we're going to keep this rolling forward. But she can be pretty hit or miss, and, well, we've already seen SSG miss with her today.
Right, yeah, so, I mean, I guess this is their second chance at trying to redeem themselves on this Vivian. I mean, they have the Furia, the Strix, the Bomb King, the Barrack, the Ashe. Furia, once again, third game in a row it is that we've seen her so far on Kanga's side. SSG, Khan, Anara, Maeve, Vivian, Maldamba. Both teams look pretty good to me.
Yeah, honestly, this is going to come down to execution. Vivian makes me feel like SSG is a little weaker here in comparison, but I mean, it's her versus Strix. Both of them could have a huge impact. Both of them could have almost no impact. We'll have to see what the Blasters can do to make up for it.
Yeah, we definitely are going to have to see what they have in store for us on Jack Falls Game 3. Let's get it.
Thank you, Fawn. Thank you, Gore. Jaguar Falls about to get underway. Kanga returning to something that kind of just worked for them. They're going to pick up Furia again. Why not another Bomb King? Why not another Strix? Strix on Jaguar Falls leaves something up to the mind, of course. But the Vivian then for SSG, there's question marks, honestly, on both sides in this game.
I would be doubting the Strix a lot more. Have you ever played a casual with that one guy whose username is Karn?
No.
He is a Strix one-trick.
Okay.
And he is just an absolute lord at Strix. And after playing against him and with him, I would never doubt Strix in any map. And this is before the changes.
Right.
So I think the Strix could work out, and I actually think SSG don't have the best draft to deal with him.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more stagnant. They're going to be kind of on their own a little bit more. The Ashe BK are going to deal with the Vivian a lot better than I think the Khan Maeve are going to be able to deal with the Strix.
You have to see, I mean, Evil Eye already controlling this right-hand side space here, right where you want your BK to be. Sadat can't even inch his toes into that doorway before he's forced out by the off-tank and Bomb King combination. There's a little Fury healing behind him as well. Joel's grabs first blood for Kanga Esports. It's everyone from SSG forced back. Aries trying to find a kill. Instead, he catches a few bombs to the back. And finally, Rochelle cleans up Chronix. But everything else is for Kanga.
Everyone's so focused on that pillar side, on that pinching the off-tank and blaster fight. Everyone's ignoring mid. Joel's just runs it down mid.
Yeah.
Sees mid tower, just focused on healing the people over there, gets a free pick, and it just makes everything fall apart for SSG. Kanga play off their heal advantage really well and snowball it from there. And now it's really going to be tough for them to get in. FRZ manages to touch. Shall be able to trade him out, but look at this positioning from Kanga. They're totally surrounding them, and they have the better health. It's
a decent wall to counter out where Chronix is positioning, but Bomb King in a great spot to clean up the Inara. Garrett does it himself. 99% for Kanga Esports, about to capture point number 1. Aries now re-engaging in on the fight. Helps clean up the Bomb King, and now he's free firing from the backline. Freeze got involved as well. First flashbang of the game for Chronix. Forces Spacestation back just a little bit. Kanga lose one too many members. Realize maybe just one more chance at this is better than trying to force it right now.
One little interaction I didn't think about is the sensor drone versus Strix. His ability to stall out is going to be a lot weaker with that gun. Right now, Dread Serpent coming in to try to slow things down, but the King Bomb is CC immune, goes in for the Inara, but the DR really goes in and just dies immediately.
Yeah, he barely scratched the surface on Rochelle with him and Sadat combining for a couple kills. Joel's is going to drop the Dome Shield onto the point, but that overtime evaporates, the same as the Barrack health bar. And a good start from Kanga gets mitigated once those ultimates come online. SSG strike first.
Just a little bit of poor focus in the mid fight by Kanga. Aries was in dark pretty low. He was below half, and they kind of just, we cut to Joel's POV. He's shooting a full health Maeve. I think that's just a little bit of a communication failure. They definitely need to tighten things up about the focus fire. That's something that'll get fixed as the game goes on. But for now, SSG, they won a mid fight. Something to hang their hat on, something they can try to take forward. They're trying to push this flank side. It might be where they think they're going to be the strongest, especially with Evil Eye playing down in a secret area. Too far to really make a difference over there.
Freeze God is likely the one who's going to pounce on Evil Eye whenever he sees the opening. Gara, it's another kill in this game. The offensive presence of the Fury already starting to rear its head. Good stall out here from Kanga as they begin to move forward. Space Station pulling back a little bit. Sadat gets stuck by the flare, ticking away for Chronix. You hear that bass drum sound for every tick of damage the flare's getting. Space Station Gaming looking for one more offensive attack. They have some ultimates soon to be ready. Assert dominance. And flashbang for Kanga could counteract, and then that Inflame charges ever so quickly.
Love these angles that Chronix is playing. And Joel's actually walled in, barely makes it out. Gets his failsafe to live. Flashbang to try to peel so things slow down a bit. And SSG might have rushed this, but actually Evil Eye backs up in secret. They managed to retake past that choke. See what ultimates they're willing to use here, maybe. Grumpy Bomb just barely caught on the edge of secret. Actually, just gonna kind of hold things out. They're not really looking to spend anything right now, but Dread Serpent comes in. They want to take the space side.
Garrett's tied for most kills in the game as of right now. Freeze God's gonna one-up him with 5. Garrett at 4. Make it 6 now for the Maeve. It's way in the backline of Kanga's inside of their base. Chronix hits the shot. Rhino finishes off the kill. 30 seconds left. Payload rounding the final corner here. Inflame, King Bomb, assert dominance, soon to be Dome Shield if Kanga want to try to tie this one up. Going to do it the old-fashioned way, toss up the shield, force back Space Station Gaming, who have an overpower to Midnight as well if they want to try to make this one 2-0. Could find the aggression here with 8 seconds left.
Good trigger discipline by Kanga to not use anything right away. But they need to put someone with Joel's, man. He's just getting overrun over there. Finally, Rhino rotates to help him out, but he's so low. All his dashes are used. They look away from Secret. Freeze walks in and they pick Evil Eye.
Freeze God wraps around the backside, hits Evil Eye with a few daggers and forces him to choose which direction he wants to look. And he chooses incorrectly there as Freeze God finishes off the kill. Overtime is on, but the payload moving forward. Respawns are going to be here from Kanga if they're able to stall it out. Things maybe tilt back in their favor, but the Maeve onslaught continues here. Evil Eye back in the fight, gets absolutely melted. Aries and Freeze combined for that one. Joel's walled off from the rest of his team. Now Space Station Gaming on the board with 2 points.
Aries is playing in a way that's keeping him from getting focused too hard. He's playing right next to his teammates, kiting away as soon as he takes attention, so they have to turn their focus elsewhere. They can't just completely ignore it. I actually didn't notice that. That was a great BM by Gera, but I think it ended up working out for them. This is when they ignore Ares there on the side.
Yeah.
These people go down, Gera's doing what he can, but Ares low, Freeze dives in, gets the kills. Gera gets the trades, but the damage from the Vivian just added up over time. You really have to. She has to be your first priority. One death is way too few, I think, at this point in the game.
If you're a Vivian, you're counting your blessings if
Yeah,
if
sure.
they're just going to ignore you the entire time. 3-1 and 11, good for second damage in the game. Not too surprising seeing Strix up top, even if Chronix is at 1, 3, and 6. He has caught 2, some resilience as well for Kanga. Starts to come into the item spots. Spacestation Gaming as well. A little bit slower here from SSG. They heavily rush that left-hand side. Actually still mounted. Sadak around to the right, in flame for Kanga. They might just storm that doorway. Answered back with the Midnight. King Bomb from Evil Eye looking to find some value. Has to cancel it out. Turn radius not going to get him through that doorway. Now tries to wipe that one away with some good damage onto the SSG backline. Ultimate's starting to fly, but no kills just yet.
Overpower onto Rhino, gets him down immediately. First pick towards SSG. They're trying to make room. Will the Seismic Crash find anything? It finds
nice.
2, and look at this collapse. Perfectly timed by them into this dark side. Cap time, 2-sided for SSG also. Even with double comeback, only 54% for Kanga.
Yeah, maybe there's an assert dominance to turn this one around, but 72% for Space Station Gaming. Just now the respawns are back. You're going to have to make your way through Freeze God. Might just be able to tear your backline apart. Ares is still alive, flexing his muscles on the point. Space Station Gaming make it 3.
This is where that very deep in your backline flank style works. When you're really just trying to kill time. When you're the team on defense, it doesn't tend to work, but they're already on their front foot, when they're already playing off of this advantage, I think it just helps it snowball even harder. Kanga now, ultimates they weren't able to use on mid. They could use them now just to take a little bit more ground, but I'm sure SSG's ready for that. Rashao close to this corner, body blocking Rhino, not letting him get any space. It's now in a good position too, and Ares perfectly kiting away over here. Dome Shield gets forced out by his damage.
Yeah, Joel's has to use that to stay alive. There was a double-digit streak for Sadak prior to that. And honestly, I think Space Station would be okay with that. I mean, you bait out the Dome Shield, sure you're forced back on defense, but you still have 1, 2 more tries maybe at this game if you're not able to convert this one. So not a horrible trade. Joel's already back to 22%, but Ares unstoppable. A 20 streak for the Vivian. We raised some concerns, and honestly, they were founded in legitimacy, but they just have not been able to get onto the Vivian.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like Kanga might be playing a little slow. Like, they could have been a little more aggressive with the assert dominance, and they did save it for the overpower, but losing on the cap time by forcing the fight too slowly was what made them lose that vid in the end. Chronix catches out Ares there on the side with a good flank, and Chronix in a really solid position now to spam the point, but he's got it back up, and he knows it. He's already leaving. Trying to collapse on SSG over here, and Mercy gets low, but that flare's not going to be enough to find the kill.
Yeah, just needed one more snipe. If that quick scope connected, there would have been a dead Maeve, but it did not, so it was not. Space Station Gaming now break the ranks of Kanga. Healing looking good for Midtow. Still some ultimates ready for Kanga, and now it's not a question of do you want to use it, you have to use it to prevent this payload from going in, whereas SSG, if you see the moment you think you can win the game, you can toss it out, but you realize that their mid fight could be good. They are going to toss the Dread Serpent. Kanga, though, answer back with an Inflame of their own. And that one just sort of fizzles out.
I think good use of it. It's good for them to be throwing out as many Dread Serpents as possible at this point in the game. Once Resilience is online, it's not really going to do anything, so better to just use it as quickly as possible. Overpower coming in from SSG. They don't go for the throw off the edge. They play it safe. They kill Evil Eye. A lot of damage out of the fight. Ultimates are getting thrown out on every side of the map.
Yeah, Midnight drapes over. Jaguar falls here. Kills 1-2 for Blue, but Rhino, that's a good assert dominance to control this right-hand side. Gets stunned up. Ares now free firing away. Needs to do more damage is Rhino here, but he's not going to win that engagement. Not with a little extra healing from his teammate. Overtime begins. Chronix finds the snipe. Gera still alive throughout that fight, kept his team alive. Midtow the only streak in the game at 23, and Kanga's first point on Jag Falls comes on defense.
This part of the game is really very tough considering they lost both mid fights.
Yeah.
The credit disadvantage means that's kind of why that Ashe, that's why Rhino couldn't find the kill onto Ares. The Cauterize, it's just not there. He has 600 more credits then. He's just going to have this massive item advantage. It really does come into play. this was part of that aggressive zone they tried to do. Wanted to just find that kill on FRZ, but they just wanted to buy time. It wasn't enough to find a kill to stagger the defense any further. But in the end, even with this aggressive play, kind of not paying off, Kanga did get the hold and didn't spend everything. They still have King Bomb in there, and Dome Shield is going to be up pretty soon. It's going to be up by the time that it's going to matter.
Right. But Spacestation Gaming, on the other hand, did use everything. Dread Serpent likely to be the first ultimate ready to go for the blue side, looking to strike back in this set, find themselves at least a win. King Bomb, the only thing immediately ready. Evil Eye, quite knowing how many people are around this corner. Now he's going to have a better idea with Sadak. Battle Shout keeps him alive, tosses up the shield to mitigate some of that splash damage, getting aggressive. Shoulder bash from Rhino, countered out. That's a deep dome shield from Joel's. Evil Eye in a great spot to take advantage of some low health bars, but Ares calls him on it, wraps the corner, and gets rid of the Bomb King. Midtow drops a great Dread Serpent, slithers forward actually, and Joel's is able to find that kill. Freeze got still alive in the back line. Spacestation Gaming fighting from the point, and the two frontliners for Kanga are a bit caught out.
Yeah, I like the idea of the aggression on the Dome Shield, but I just saw the Bomb King dream and overcommitted to make it happen. Although this might be perfect here, King Bomb could potentially do a lot of pressure. Joel's goes down, it's coming in, but the CC immunity's kind of already been used. He's going in really deep with it, gets it a little bit early. It's smart, he lives, but now they're in a rough position. Inflame gets forced on the point, but there's no damage really over there to fight Rashao.
Kanga need to turn this one around with the Inflame at their backs. No kills, good shot there. Rashao getting plugged down to about half health. Ares gets flash banged out, but there's no follow-up on that one either. Seismic Crash rings down onto Joel's. Evil Eye gets rid of Ares, and that's been a huge point of contention for Spacestation Gaming. Poppy Bomb backwards to try to stay healthy here. Overpower does connect. Is he able to get out of it alive? He does not. Evil Eye gets that kill as well. Evil Eye, a nice double to round out this one, but Freeze God, maybe the last-ditch effort here as Midnight drops down.
Both tanks are down, and Freeze actually manages to touch the point, but he has to throw himself away to do it. Ares is walking back in, but when you're the only focus of the game and you're Vivian, you're not going to be able to do anything. Kanga get their first capture of the match, and this will be great for their economy moving forward. But SSG, they're ready to fight this point already. All five about to be here to contest them, and the tanks for Kanga just aren't there yet.
That was a great fight for Evil Eye. Too much time, uptime for the Bomb King for SSG to really fight back into that one. Second round of ultimates starting to come out here. Kanga obviously want to win these trades in order to get some payload progress. Ares, one more shot from Rhino. So Kanga actually comes out ahead of those trades. It's a 3 for 2. Still now realize there's some in the back lines. Finally, the payload starts to move closer. But a good fight, you're right. Economy starting to tilt. Kanga now has at least resilience 2 on everyone. Os Rhino, 3 for himself. A couple illuminates, some resilience as well for SSG.
The tanks and supports cleaned up every single kill there. And now, SSG are recognizing how much of a threat Evil Eye is. They try to wall him off as soon as they realize it's not good.
Nice.
They drop it immediately. This is such a rough
Chronix
position for SSG. Chronix here on this outside, gonna do so much. And again, look at the tanks on SSG. How do they get in? How do they get into Chronix on this face side?
You're right, you have to walk not only through Evil Eye on Bomb King, who's holding down this left-hand flank, but you poke your head out one too many times. It's the dream for Kanga. Evil Eye can follow up on damage if Chronix is able to poke him down to about half health. Defensive Poppy Bomb not far enough for Evil Eye as Freeze God finds the kill. Ares as well. That continuous firing that you hear ringing out from the back of your screen is enough to get him a kill onto Rhino. 50 seconds left, so this might feel like a game-ending fight, but plenty of time left for Kanga.
Yes, that is not an audio issue. That is just a Vivian shooting for 8 hours, as she does. I don't actually know. I'm curious, is he running the ammo? Never mind. I know he is now. He's running the ammo regen card in his build, Unchecked Ambition. Not running the Iron Sight work to help because he does use Iron Sights a lot, but SSG just snowballing this forward now. Drone going to make it hard for Strix to get away, but that speed boost looks like it's just enough to get him around the corner.
Oh, that's kind of nuts. 48%. I didn't catch what
48%. Hitting a shot.
He's running it at 4. I was wondering. So, I mean, in reality, depending on how on your side RNG is, you could just infinitely continue shooting forever with it.
As long as you hit every shot.
Right, as long as you hit right. Depending on, of course, the shots that you're hitting. So Unchecked Ambition at 4. Spacestation Gaming by themselves enough time to secure that defense. Evil Eye on the Bomb King. What a mid he had. Something he'll need to repeat for Kanga to try to tie this game up.
Yeah, and it's why Bomb King is so strong on this map. It's kind of why Kanga just repeated their draft. They went from 2 maps that are very similar.
Sure.
Back to back there. So was like, oh yeah, well, we just beat you with this. It wasn't particularly difficult.
Do it again?
Yeah, we'll do it again, sure. Even like we're clearly feeling ourselves on these characters, and I think they still are.
Yeah.
Just some small missteps. I think they were feeling themselves a little bit too much, you know, like
Right.
Evil overextending there on the right side when he noticed 3 people doing a football huddle in the corner trying to talk about their plan while Bomb King was just raining damage in.
Yeah. To be fair, if I'm in that scenario and I'm a
absolutely
Bomb
would've
King,
done the
I
same
am,
thing.
yes,
I don't
am.
think there's a single person
No.
in this office, in chat, who would not
there's-
have fed there.
There's 3 people at half health, all huddled up in a corner. Yes, please. But at this level, you're able to turn that around into something good. SSG were able to do that. Evil Eye positioning himself on the opposite side. Here's in Flame. Dread Serpent in, as well as the Seismic Crash, but there's a Dome Shield to counter it out. Buys the stun onto Rochelle. CC immunity not ready for him just yet. And now there's 3 members of SSG grouped up, but back in the the Kanga Esports side of things.
There's no spawners though, so they're not really under too much threat. Chronix might be a little overextended here. Wasn't ready for that. Aries unable to find him though. Sensor
Ow.
drone does catch him around the corner, but Sadak gets traded out. Hits out
72.
might go down here too. Kanga have the number advantage, but everybody backed up from the point for it. Garrett's so low, and he's gonna get flanked to go down.
They're at 72%, 82 now for Kanga Esports. If they're able to get Aries, that's a big win for them. Looking to charge forward. Rochelle has the wall up. That soon crumbles. Assert dominance for Rhino. Could lock up a point of entry here. 96, 99. Overtime begins. You're going to have Sadak in range to get a touch. That's the first frontliner to go down. Unless Rochelle somehow jumps his way in there. Freeze Guide is going to do so. Now we're just throwing bodies on the pile unless they're able to delay just a little bit longer. It's a 5 versus 3 fight here. Rochelle actually doing a very good job of staying alive. Does not make it certain for Kanga. That's a fast overtime, and against all odds, we're tied up at 3.
As this game goes on, I feel like Kanga's just figuring out what SSG want to do. SSG tried to adapt. They tried something different. Maybe it'll work this time, but again, they don't have the comp to really be this aggressive.
Yeah.
They don't have the characters that are going to get away with that. Vivian, if she gets ignored, maybe, but most of the time, no. Chronix walled off for a moment, but as soon as that wall's down, the raining hell from Strix is going to continue.
Chronix has started to make his mark on this game as well. This looks like a good defense from Spacestation. And Kanga nice and chunked down. Payload still moving forward though, while Spacestation Gaming are back here trying to find some back-end kills. So if nothing else, they got a little bit of extra progress. Evil Eye looking for a couple more bombs to win the engagement. Chronix helps him out. Minute and 40 seconds left now. They were able to just move a little bit forward with their Ash. That was Rhino helping the cart inch closer.
I just want to point out the micro, how good that was there from Sadak.
Yeah.
He knew that Evil Eye was going to dead over his shield, so he jumped with the shield, blocked it, knew he couldn't mix him up the next time, so he shouted it, and that moment was enough to cleanse caught. It was enough to keep Sadak alive and almost get that kill. Inflame now coming in from Kanga, trying to catch someone out. Sadak used all of his cooldowns,
Yeah.
gets melted on the side immediately. Rochelle buys some time, but that's disastrous for SSG.
He had nothing left to dash out with because he used his dash just to get about halfway there. Good trade out from Aries. That one might have been the most important yet. Double kill from the Vivian. Joel's now way in the back line. He's going to rocket boots his way back to the payload. Shao now trying to trade out with Rhino. It's going to do so effectively. You're getting barrel stuffed by a Khan and an Inara. That doesn't feel too great. Double kill for Sadak. Still tied up at 3. Kanga could somehow win this game with a push here. Of course, Space Station Gaming, nothing to win. 3 top damage, all above, and I guess top 4, all above 6 digits. Chronix has really started to hit those shots. He's been consistently up top, but 140,000 damage from your Strix always feels good.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Strix is similar to Victor. It's just a burst Victor.
Right.
He's just there to do a ton of damage. Now, Kanga actually good wall by SSG, catches out Joel's. A few members of Kanga go down, and this is going to go to a final mid-fight. I don't really think there's any way that Kanga can extend this. Maybe they can get a kill or 2 just to extend a credit advantage just a little bit more, but
All right,
now,
hear me out.
good hold by SSG.
Hear me out. It's Poppy Bomb over the wall. Nobody from Space Station Gaming notices it, and Evil Eye backdoors the
He
payload.
would need about 5 charges of Poppy Bomb to make that happen.
Yeah. He has.
He would have to throw a Poppy up,
Right.
and then wait for it to come back down and sink a second Poppy at the
Second
same
Poppy
time.
Bomb. Right.
That's
right.
pretty much the only way that would have happened. I would love to live in a universe where that's possible,
But it was.
and I appreciate you taking me there.
But it was not.
But it was not going to happen, at least not in this game so far. And SSG, they started this game looking so good, but Kanga just getting the better of these mid-fights now. Kanga realizing what their comp has to do.
Yeah.
Just protect their damages, because they know that SSG have to give up so much to make it in.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a lot of on the back of where they can get in this mid.
Yep.
I think that's really it. They have to be able to get in without taking all that damage, and literally the only option for that is Midnight or Sadak hitting a Miracle Overpower.
Right. You have to identify Ares. He said 21 and 8 going into this final mid. If you can kill Vivian, you're going to be happy because he's just going to do this to Jules throughout that game. Absolutely melts the barrack shield, has not stopped firing. That 70-round magazine became 80 or 90 by the time he had to reload. Overpower does land onto Jules here. Nobody left to try to counter that one out. Evil Eye in the back line looking for the King Bomb's gonna grab Midtown. Can he do it without dying off? And he doesn't. They actually don't end up getting the healer killed off. Chronix with the only kill here. The left-hand side zoned out by Kanga. Dread Serpent cleans up a couple. 57% for Kanga. Space Station Gaming, though, they're fighting back.
I just want to point out this whole time 66% for Kanga, and the rest of them are going to live. This is actually perfect for them in this situation. Rhino going down late is going to make it tough for Kanga to retouch, especially with these Sentinels coming up for SSG. They might be able to just burn through this Dome Shield when it does end up going down. Ares on an aggressive flank right now, but if Kanga finds him, this could be rough. Rhino's there, gets spotted. A very aggressive play from SSG right now. Will it pay off? They need to burn the objective as soon as possible. The capture stops, but Ares finds the first pick on a Rhino.
Ares with the first kill. Midtown somehow survives again. Dome shield from Joel's. Double kill for Ares. It's not going to save his life. 90% for Kanga. So there's still time to get back into this one and re-engage. Ares starting to take this final fight over. He has 4 kills around the final end. Space Station Gaming retake control of this mid. Kanga Esports, maybe one final shot to get in there, but they're at 75%. Rhino is the only one that's really in range here. He's getting burnt down. Shoulder bash is going to get him the touch. Overtime will start. That's a great wall. Might not be in range for Joel's. The body blocks are there. Not going to fall in time. Overtime expires. Commander's grab seals up the kill. Space Station Gaming are going to win this one in 23 minutes.
What a grindy
Get themselves on the board at the end.
What a grindy fight back and forth for them, but SSG do end up coming out on top. On the back of that Vivian, we were doubting it at the start, but SSG figured out how they wanted to play around it. They really did make it do what it had to do. It burned those tanks. Ares was uncontested the majority of that final fight.
And there were 2 moments there towards the end where you use the King Bomb onto Midtown to try to get the kill. It's one thing if, you know, Evil Eye dies, but he's at least able to get the kill onto the healer. Doesn't happen. Then they plug out Midtown again, and I think it's Rhino or Joel's. It was Joel's in the Dome Shield who tried to get aggressive. Couldn't get Midtown 2 times out of 2. Big fight there from SSG to strike back. They're still down 2-1, but some momentum maybe at their backs. Find out how the next game turns up right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Disbelief and make me forget my memories. Rent a car you can't afford. Put on a song that we both know. Let your hair out in the wind. Put the pedal to the floor. Flame your light and take a smoke. Put your broken rip off. Wafers on. Doesn't matter if the sun goes down. We'll still be up, still be up. Don't care about the place we found. We'll still be up, still be up. We're in this together, we both fall down. Doesn't matter if the sun goes up, 'cause we will still be high when the lights out.
Welcome back into the PPL, guys. Of course, SSG able to net their first win on Jaguar Falls. Of course, I believe they were the ones that ended up picking the map, so they tried to shift things into their momentum, and it ended up working out. And on top of that, Ares ended up doing extremely well on the Vivian this time around.
Yeah, swinging around from what we saw earlier, was able to kind of pick up the momentum. I will give absolute credit to Evil Eye, though. It was an absolute insane game on Bomb King. A couple of things go maybe different towards the end there.
Wow.
And Kanga find themselves up 3-0. 167,000 damage from Chronix, 153,000 from Evil Eye, 137,000 from Joel's. But let's not ignore the important number. 99,999 there for Rhino. Hits all nines. Jackpot for him, but phenomenal game play from Kanga. It just came down to at the very end there, almost 300K for Maldamba in terms of healing, and a pretty big streak there. 4, 5, and 43.
Wow. 9, 11, and 30, 27, 9, and 27 for Aries.
Yeah.
17, 12, 30, 19, 11, 21. If you take a look at this Vivian game, you compare it to the last one, you wouldn't think this was the same player that actually ended up picking up Vivian. But this time around, they drafted it, and it did its thing. 27, 9, and 27. I can't stress that enough.
And it was huge during the last point fight. I mean, there were several moments where his positioning are really what stopped Kanga from winning. I mean, it was actually this rotation itself that was able to help not only find the support, but then go right back into the mid fight and get rid of the rest of Kanga. It just opened up so much. And so Aries finding redemption on the Vivian this time around. Played it well, positioned well, damaged well, and killed well.
Yeah, I mean, all of them, at least however many times it is that you can think of the word well, all of them did well.
Yep.
Each and every last one of them on SSG's side. Of course, it was a very, very close game. It was about 3-3, and then finally they were able to clutch it out. They were able to do what it was they needed to have. We're going to take a look at the map to see what we're in for next round. Warders Gate.
A bit of an unusual one.
Yeah.
Unless you look at Kanga's history. This is one that they've been pretty good at as time has gone on. Question is whether or not they still feel, I want to say, as confident on it now. SSG, maybe a little shakier on here, but I think the last few weeks, specifically because of what happened to them not too long ago against Virtus Pro, I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, we saw earlier, Shattered Desert, but Bazaar, Warders Gate were kind of high on their list of maps to practice so that they aren't these easy wins to take against them, make it a little more difficult, which means that we might have a different form of SSG on here, or we might have Kanga kind of being able to control it. But they keep themselves alive with that 1 in the win column from last map. And this is Dave's favorite scoreline, probably one of the best because of how versatile it can be. Kanga could go up to 1 away from winning. SSG could try to tie the whole thing up and guarantee us a minimum of 6 games.
Willow Khan off of Kanga's side. Atlas is available on SSG's. Not available on SSG's side. They also get rid of the Makoa in this case. Of course, first picking here on Kanga's side. Just giving it a little bit more thought here. Khan is gone, so they might try and opt for a little bit something different than what their previous drafts have already been.
Everyone on Kanga is starting to look a little more drained than they did earlier, even though that honestly felt like a pretty energizing as a whole set or map for them.
You are not welcome here!
They're gonna opt for Warders Gate. Inara is not a bad first choice, but it really does come down to, I mean, both point tanks, I think, being very prominent. I like that SSG immediately retaliate just to make sure they don't get like an Inara Barrett combo where it's just like, man, we can't do anything on the point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a quick response for them too. You see the Inara as soon as it gets to them, Barrett, Strix locked in, ready to go. Of course, Strix going to be able to play more, of course, around this backline. DPS is going to be all the way in the back, but an Eevee is what Kanga is thinking about right now. Along with the Ruckus, I feel like Strix is going to have a little bit of a rough time, especially on this map when I see Eevee Ruckus paired together.
I'm going to fall back on my general SSG sniper talk here. Depends on who's playing it.
Good point, yeah.
I think if it's Freeze God, he absolutely can make this work against an Eevee. He might struggle a little bit against the Ruckus. If the Ruckus Eevee dive comes together, there's going to be some trouble for him. So it'll depend on the rest of the team to kind of come to his aid and maybe make that work. Maeve wouldn't be bad on this map. Wouldn't be bad potentially for Aries to maybe pick up and play around with. They're going to have to figure out how they want to deal with it because, like you said, Ruckus, Eevee, they can end games on their own. We've seen it in the past, not just from Kanga, but from pretty much everyone in the Premier League at some point or another. They have ended someone's dreams with Eevee and Ruckus on a team.
Yeah, obviously. Right now, Barrick and Strix, Inara, Eevee, Ruckus, they're really trying to consider who they're going to go for because of SSG side. Grover, pick on Warders Gate that has been seen before. And since Willow's gone, it'll be a lot easier for him to actually live a little bit longer and heal a little bit more. Of course, we have those CODs coming online. It's going to be difficult, but Cassie is who they're going for. Cassie Maldamba. They seem to like this Maldamba, that's for sure.
Mita, I mean, first off, based on the game he had last time, I am not going to take it away from him.
Of course, right?
And I think a lot of people are starting to remember, like, damage amp was super prominent. And it was so prominent that people were ignoring Moldamba for what it could bring. But Moldamba still brings way more consistent healing than pretty much any other support, more versatile healing than any other support, has great CC in his kit, not only in his Dread Serpent, but also in his reload since he has the stun. And I think a lot of these players, even though they like spent their time maybe in Moldamba Purgatory, like sent off playing Genos and Furia, they're realizing and recognizing anybody can still pull that out and still be effective with it.
Right.
If SSG switch that out for a Furia, still a good draft. Still switch it out for a Genos, still a good draft. And that's, I think, kind of the state of supports right now. It's just it's up to the support what they want to play, and that's how they're feeling.
Io, Leon, these two. Now that's extremely
Careful,
interesting.
we bite.
Which reinforces just a little bit of what I thought about how Strix might not be the
Kneel.
best pick, especially if you could just stick Io on point and then just run at him. You have so much pressure being exuded from that character, and Kanga, they've shown that they can make it work.
Not only they can make it work, but they can cause a lot of trouble using Io, using Luna on the point, maybe to kind of control around. If you think about the push repercussions, that's going to kind of change the game for them as well. They can 5-man aggro while Luna pushes the payload from mid to maybe about 50% before SSG could potentially stop it. But point fight, it's going to be important. I think Eevee Leon to focus down, or I guess Inara Leon probably, focus down Barrack, get rid of him, and kind of control the zone. Then you move Luna in, and everyone can go aggro. Everyone can go zone, and that kind of play style is going to shift things drastically for Kanga, but it does kind of corner all on maybe an early pick to make it work.
Right, well, I mean, we're looking at game 4 right now already. 2-1, Kanga versus SSG. We're going to take it down to the casters to find out what they think about this Io pick.
I like it. I think it works.
Yeah.
You know, it works till it doesn't. It worked a little bit earlier on today. I think Kanga are going to look to do what they kind of mentioned on the desks. Stick the Fox on the point. Try to get aggressive towards this Strix. Is that how you imagine things playing out?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely how they want to adapt to it. The Ruckus is going to be able to cross a lot of ground. The Inara, I'm assuming they're going to be running speed on heal, so being able to just boost the Inara in. It's kind of why Damba was paired with Inara for so long. Speed Spirits really gives her a lot of rotation potential, and being able to speed up with Io's Moonlight is going to do just the same.
Well, Warder's Gate is where Io is going to look to have an impact here for Kanga, a map that traditionally felt very comfortable on. That's at least been split number 1. Split number 2, they're looking to repeat some of that. They never had Io in split 1, so this is a different look at Kanga's strategies for Warder's Gate. Goddess Blessing. So the DR, after being healed by Moonlight, gained 25% DR for all allies healed. Traditionally, it's been kind of one or the other. Either you get the Fox heal or you get yourself a little bit of that DR. This time around, dropped it for the DR.
DR is going to help a lot, I think, against big game casting, considering it's Cassie versus Inara and Ruckus, but going down first is going to make it really tough. Chronix immediately cleans up 2 picks, and Kanga are going to get quick point.
Ouch. Says everyone on SSG because Chronix lines 3 up, knocks 3 down. Repeating his Leon performance from earlier in this set would be nothing but a win for Kanga. And this is a great example of the Io Fox. Everyone from Kanga moving forward right now. And Rhino, the flanker on the backside. There's somebody behind you, Spacestation Gaming. They finally turn around and realize that he's able to get out alive. Well, not for long as Freeze God finds the shot. 99% for Kanga, nobody in range. And that's the power of the Fox.
He was hiding there the whole time, just standing completely still, and apparently SSG's vision is based on movement because no one really saw him quite there. Chronix backing up, long angle from FRZ, and now Chronix is pinned, but no one's able to really take advantage of it at all. Aries trying to move to do it now, but Evil's putting on too much pressure. Sao gets the kill, and SSG will be able to take this into an aggressive defense.
This is a good start on defense because, you know, Warder's Gate, like many of the other maps in this game, can really start to snowball out of control if the fight after the cap does not go in your favor if you're on defense. Maybe a good look at Be Gone. There are some areas on this map where you can kind of get that execute. Haven't seen too many Io ultimates in general, but not many that are heavily game-changing. Evil Eye misses the last shot. Chronix picks up the slack, gets the kill onto Aries. Continued just high damage output from this Leon has forced Spacestation Gaming back one more time. Good shot from FreezeGod to try to turn it around. Doesn't come to anything though. Kanga now back on the payload with 5 ultimates ready to go.
And you were talking about Be Gone a second ago, and I think that as time goes on, we're going to see a lot more effectiveness from it.
Sure.
Just think about Exile, right? That's an ultimate that's very hard to make work, but as players have played Atlas, they've gotten the hang of it. You know, we see a lot more impactful Exiles than we used to, and I think that as IO sees more and more play, we're going to see good Be Gones too. We're going to see it used as stuns, it's used as executes. A lot of potential there. And I also like, in general, the design that it takes, right? Ultimates that aren't win the game buttons. You know, ultimates that it's the focus is on your character's kit, not pressing E.
Right. You have to pick and choose when you use the ultimate. You know, if you hit a good one, it is game changing, but it's not an automatic win. It's a good spot for FreezeGod. Good shot. 1-2, down goes Chronix. So does the Dome Shield as well. Jules tosses out Seismic Crash. Doesn't want to flood into a Dome Shield though, so he turns tail and runs back to the rest of his team. Rhino, Hexafire, ready to go. They only use Seismic Crash. Spacestation Gaming only have Assert Dominance, so a heavy ultimate advantage to Kanga. Granted, they don't know what Spacestation Gaming do or don't have unless they've kept very careful track when those different ultimates were used. They'll know that a Flashbang is flying towards them though. 5 seconds left. Might look to use something here. One pick onto Ares. Might open up the door. Evil Eye gets that one, blinks back into safety. Now down on the low ground. Barrack is in it under a little bit of duress. That's Rachel who dives. Assert Dominance out to the right-hand side. He's just trying to plug away some damage at the Fox. Garrett gets the kill though, freezing Sadak back into the fight out a couple as well.
Be Gone attempted to be used to push Sadak out of his Assert Dominance, but the wall from Jolts actually messed it up. He went straight up and it pulled him into the tree afterwards, so unable to get pulled away. Unfortunate on the Be Gone, but at the very least, I don't know what that would have really done on mid. And I was surprised with how far Kanga got that. I mean, under the duress of Ares and FRZ, constantly spamming down on them. Wow. That makes sense to how quickly that mid-fight just fell out of SSG's hands. Ares immediately getting deleted by Chronix, just there 1 second faster, and it was enough.
Ouch. And then the follow-up is, let's toss the Fox on the point and send our Ruckus to...
stand above the exit.
Well, here's me kind of, you know, looking at the silhouettes, figuring out where Kanga's starting to maneuver themselves. I'm like, all right, I see the Fox, I see 4 people. Wait, where's the 5th? Without realizing that it's Ruckus who's on my screen.
Your vision was also based exclusively on movement. Shout out to Cornbread for noticing that, too.
Yeah, no, that was a smart play there. Rhino dropped down. Didn't end up really coming to fruition, but worked out for them. Scout's going to spot out Chronix. They're going to know where that Leon maybe is looking to position. Garrett giving Jules some good heals here, and it's really Joel's against the world right now. Nobody from Kanga has really started to move forward yet.
Which I think is smart. Scout is a really impactful ultimate. Playing back will kind of reduce its effectiveness. Great Ice Storm coming in from Ruckus and Eevee. They waited for the Scout to be gone, and then they lost track of them. That's all they were waiting for. Kanga played that so smart into the cast ultimate.
They're going to let this one steamroll. Garrett gets another kill on the IO. Another healer that adds a little bit of extra damage as well, certainly in the conversation of kind of those hybrid damage dealer-healer combos. Not maybe the epitome. Good flashbang, locks up some vision. Rhino, though, into Hexafire. Doesn't need to see to get a double kill. 87% for Kanga. This is going to be sealed up. This is going to be point number 2, and one more chance to make it 3.
The CC immunity from the Hexafire made it so the flashbang couldn't do too much. A little bit worried. I mean, I would do it too. If I see Hexafire, I'm throwing out anything.
Right.
I don't care what's going on. I don't care if it works or not. I feel better at least. Until I end up on the respawn time.
Right.
Everyone Kanga very stacked up top. Dread Serpent coming in to stop some of this tank aggression, but it just ends up getting traded. A little bit of a late fear onto Joel's, but no damage follows up. Finally, some kills going SSG's way, but look at this aggression from Joel's. He's just walking at FRC.
Oh, gets done.
The stealth and heals are just enough to keep him alive.
Yeah, that's aggravating if you're Joel's. You're trying to kill FreezeGod. The pocket healing from Midtow, finally the stun to lock you up. He's able to get that kill there. Evil Eye on the 5 streak for Kanga here. Only Be Gone is ready. Ice Storm found some great value at the beginning of that mid-fight. Rhino was able to take advantage, dash up. 2 kills in the Ice Storm and then 2 kills with the Hexafire, and that's what Rhino's got going for him throughout this game. Kanga, though, filling the same shoes as last time, making some good progress with this card.
I want to see how they decide to use this Be Gone. I could see it being used again as a counter to the Assert Dominance. aggressive? Or is SSG going to be willing to be with it, though? There's a lot of places they could go that won't let that counter even do anything. Flashbang comes in, looks like to stop the aggression, but Joel's kind of found an opening. Onto Sadak, healing touches Joel's at the last second, but FRC finds the first pick.
Yeah, not enough healing to keep Jules alive right there. Kanga now are going to slow play the rest of this fight until Inara gets back for them. And Spacestation Gaming, conversely, are going to start to move forward, try to fill up some of that space.
Love this movement by Gera there, too. A little backflip just to perfectly, the lunar leap, to perfectly land on that edge of the pillar room. And Girl sitting back there, a lot of ultimates charged, and I guess they might be a little more hesitant to use them because they could get snowballed if they lose the next mid, but early damage onto FRZ. He is next to the spawn door, but that could be the signal to go.
That's a hard combo to fight into. A Cassie and a Strix that are just sitting free and clear in the back of the map. I mean, right in the direction that you want to be heading. So Kanga trying to pick and choose their moments well. Dome Shield starts off. Chronix desperately needs some healing, gets it from Gera. The tumble around the side, Rhino, first blood in this one, but Joel's is able to answer back. Good healing from Gera. Again, keeps Chronix alive. Shoulder bash out from Sadak. Rashao now the lone point tank trying to contest the payload. Overtime will begin here. Dread Serpent looking to catch out some on the payload. Just forced back a little bit. Behind the wall is Joel's contesting time and time again. Now Gera caught out in the corner, didn't rotate out with Chronix. Enlightenment does not connect. No more healing for your early on. Sadak feeling A-okay in this engagement. Space Station Gaming add one more defense.
Enlightenment being used is pretty rough for Kanga. It doesn't really matter. SSG used 3 ultimates to hold that there, so 2 ultimate advantage towards Kanga moving in here, and Rhino setting up the plan for the next mid-fight. Their plans have been pretty solid. They were so ready for everything that SSG's really pulling out.
Here's the well use of mobility off the levitation crystal. Couple dashes in, snag yourself a double, and then the CC immunity, as you point out, and the Hexafire shrugs off. Hey, that flashbang blind. Everyone's streaking out for Space Station Gaming, except Ares, 2 and 7 on the Cassie, which is kind of an obvious outlier for Space Station. And then on the flip side, Chronix doing pretty well for Kanga.
I think that's kind of a result of just Kanga picking out what the most important person to focus is. Ares is getting hard focus. Look at this delay from them. They're just so ready for this scout. It's such an impactful ultimate, and people don't really give it that value. Scout finally used, but look how tentative Kanga is positioned. All that they know is that they're not there yet. They have no idea what Kanga might be planning as the mid evolves.
Once that scout wears out, a veil of no silhouettes is going to re-drape, and Space Station forced to the left-hand side as Kanga wrap around to the right. Chronix in a great spot to take advantage of a low health Rashao here. Stunned up, in goes Os Rhino. Down goes the Assert Dominance though. Sadak very low. No kill for him just yet. There's Begone, does kind of counter out the Assert Dominance. Blasts him to the back of the wall, gets him stunned up. Sadak forced to shoulder bash out in another good looking mid fight for Kanga.
If anything, I want this mid fight to tell you all how good Scout is. Kanga's not even showing up to the mid. They're staying in their spawn until it's over. That level of information really is that good at the professional level. It lets them adapt to what you're doing, and Kanga countered it perfectly. Rhino in the same position.
Did it again.
Not ready for it again. Hexafire not being used this time, but maybe now that Ares is a little bit extended. Shield is up, kind of denying him from doing that, but the rest of Kanga's there to clean up on the kills.
And again, the discipline on not hitting that Hexafire there cannot be overstated, because anyone else sees 3 people and they're like, oh yeah, this is the time. Me not excluded. Smart there from Rhino, and realizes the rest of his team is going to be able to come into this fight and help clean up the kills. You don't necessarily need the Hexafire right then and there. Chronix gets a kill, trades out. Rashao gets that one. Tao is dead though. This starts to kind of snowball here. Space Station Gaming in a tough spot.
Rough staggers by them, and this is actually a really tough place for Kanga to be pushing. I think because of just the angle of the heals. Gera can't really heal any of his tanks without peeking. It's kind of one of the downsides of IO, kind of similar to why Spirit's domain Grok really isn't getting picked. Great position for Rhino. Again, they finally see him, but Hexafire in cover could be strong. Chooses to back up instead, considering FRC just rattled off 2 kills onto his backline.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in the backline there, but Freeze God got a double. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. FRZ is really good.
Wait, is he good at this game?
I was surprised too, but I was looking at the data, and I think that might be the conclusion I've come to.
Yeah, I think that's a fair conclusion. All data points towards Freeze God being good at Paladins, and there's no reason to question that data. Good double kill stalls out Kanga Esports offense. Hexafire again. Very Very conservative with its uses. Rhino here waiting for that right moment. Kanga Esports have a couple of ultimates. Seismic Crash, maybe Dome Shield used one more time, always on the defense. For Rashao here. Kanga Esports just going to back off. 40%, or 40 seconds left, rather. Freeze God just trying to read that blink. Nothing coming of it just yet. Kind of a hush has fallen in this game. Neither team wanting to make the first mistake.
Honestly, just that Dome Shield being forced is kind of huge. Look how aggressive Joel's is right now. Rhino also pulling two people to the side, but no one's ready to trade him out. Ice Storm does trade out Rashao, so now Sadak has to be the one contesting the objective. Only 88% of the assert dominance means that he won't be able to buy that much time contesting it.
Nobody has touched Freeze God on the Strix, though. And that's a recipe for disaster if you're Kanga. Forced to back off, 8 seconds left. Maybe Jules is in range to get a touch around that corner. They're just trying to toss some shots. Looks like overtime's gonna begin. You have a half health in Nara. Spacestation Gaming, 2 ultimates. Scout, Flashbang, now assert dominance. Kanga Esports have a little bit as well. They could buy themselves some space. Rhino the first death, Evil Eye again with the first answer here. Flashbang rings down. Looks like it caught a little bit of the wall there. Evil Eye still with the only kill for Kanga in this one. Seismic Crash rocks down, stuns up one. Assert dominance answers back, but there's the Begone. Catches a little bit of that tree, so Sadak is safe just for a moment, but he's out of range of his assert dominance. Another scout here. Finally, they get rid of Sadak.
Rashao's coming, gonna be back in a second. Hexafire on the point where there's so much cover. They make the ult to hide. They might not be able to contest, but Rashao makes it at the last second. Evil Eye buying a little bit of time, but they're stacking the objective. They can't both stay on, and SSG managed to get that defense at the very last second.
You know, you don't consider so much of the trees and stuff on Warder's Gate as being big environment pieces, but they're towards the end. The little rocks, the trees, enough to block out the Hexafire. The Begone didn't fully get rid of Sadak from the assert dominance. Bought himself enough time. Another good defense from SSG.
That's honestly just part of the environment too. The fact that Begone didn't throw the Sadak all the way out. Barely clipped the tree at the end. It was far enough to get some damage on him.
Right.
He ended up being as close to death as you could basically be, but just that little bit of time was enough for Rashao to get back. Although, one thing here, Ares used Scout on that defense.
Yep.
To see where they were coming back from, and that's going to make things really tough for SSG, because that's the only thing that's kind of kept Kanga from immediately executing on these mids.
They are still slow playing it just a little bit. 3 members of Kanga still mounted up. Jules is felt okay, staying alive. Off the mounts goes Chronix, off the lift there. A preview to that is Spacestation Gaming. Oh, good shot. That nearly knocked out Chronix. As Rhino peels backwards a little bit as well. 33% for Kanga. 7-point game. Either we're tied or Kanga's looking at a 3-1. 50% Chronix, maybe with a little bit of a flank here. He might be able to catch them off guard. Freeze God doesn't know that Chronix is there. Into stealth he goes. Ares doesn't either. Enlightenment doesn't catch anyone, but if nothing else, forces them back around the side. Sadak gets the kill. Thought it would have been the turret. The Dome Shield goes down again. Rhino gets countered out by that Dread Serpent. 72%. Flashbang rings out. All the kills are for Space Station. Kanga have the time, but Space Station have the offense.
They did get a ton of cap time because of Luna, though. Evil Eye just has to die on the point if he's going to die at all. Might be able to make it away, but this is a disastrous stagger if he goes down. Chronix catches out Rashao.
Nice shot.
Denies a little bit more cap time, but for now, Kanga have another shot at this.
Yep.
They have Seismic Crash and Begone both coming up. Seismic Crash definitely a little better than Begone, but that's a huge ultimate to have still on the board for Kanga.
Sadak gets flanked out by Evil Eye there. Good ice block to counter out the shoulder bash. Up high he goes. Jols finishes off the kill. Freeze God does not die out. Kanga fight from the point, and they get themselves the win.
Can't deny the objective pressure of Luna. You see the Inara pushing you, you're like, oh, they're not capping. And then you're looking at a defeat screen.
Yep.
You got to be ready for it. That objective pressure, they played it before, they know it, but Kanga just had all the answers on those mids.
And that's a game, again, another contested game between these two teams. I think a 3-1 set scoreline doesn't really do this matchup justice. But that's where we stand. Kanga they figured out those mid fights, slow playing the scout, so smart from them.
Yeah, for sure. You really don't see a lot of teams do that too. They're so scared that they're giving up positioning.
Right.
But the crystals give you so much mobility that they're just like, oh, we'll take it back. We got a Ruckus, we got an Eevee. We'll just wrestle it right out of your hands.
I was a big fan of the sneaky Ruckus as well. Game 4 comes to a close. Kanga Esports 1 game away from taking it over SSG. Find out if they do it right after this.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
Welcome back to the Paladins Premier League, guys. Kanga managing to clutch it out once again, 3-1 already. They're looking more than good at this point. I mean, it was very, very close towards the end there, Gore, but they were able to manage to clutch it out.
Kanga were keeping it neck and neck, or I should say SSG were keeping it neck and neck. Kind of depends on which way you want to look at it. SSG, Kanga would be right there. I mean, even at the end, it looks like they are going to be able to kind of get that final conversion. And SSG just said no. They played really, really well throughout it, but they just found themselves too much on the defensive end of things. Right. And when you're on that side of the game, you can tie it up. You can go 3-3. And we've seen teams win like that. But the problem is, and I'm sure we might be able to see this in the credits, and you kind of can. The lowest I see is 226 there on Rhino as credits per minute picked up. Whereas you see 166, 160, 190, much lower numbers there for SSG. When you're not getting the objective, the economy just isn't being picked up by you.
Yeah, I mean, we already see the damage numbers here, but if you take a look at FRZ, man, 138,065 damage on this Strix. He was hitting shots
just
more
casually,
than literally anyone else. At the same time, though, it's like, I mean, he went 10-3 and 19, 6-8, 3-4, 8-10 for Ares, 9-10 for Rachel. Slashline's looking better on Kanga's side. But at the same time, though, you hate to see a performance like that and then it falls flat on the team it is and just ends up losing.
It feels it's the Invocal effect, right? Where SSG are like, it's four guys who maybe didn't quite hit the same mark. Nobody really played poorly for SSG. They didn't just have the objective time. They didn't have the ability to kind of play against Joel's and Gara in that aspect. And when it came down to it, even when they were able to get into maybe a position, this is what happened to them. I mean, it was just solid control from Chronix on the side. No one was focusing him down. And later, when they did finally start focusing him down, he was getting away with murder.
Yeah, I mean, you already see it right there with the triple kill. I mean, when he was positioned well, I mean, SSG definitely felt it. You see situations like this where everyone's fighting, fights breaking out on the sides, both left and right, and then also on point. But this just allows Chronic to do stuff like this, where he just goes rampant, firing shots. Obviously, he's in the high ground right now. And, I mean, he's just able to take advantage of so many mispositioned people in SSG.
I will give credit to Rachal's, turret number 30 or whatever in this game, maybe longer, that was able to take down Chronix. One of the few times that he was able to get taken down. But several times throughout all of that, he was, well, as you saw in the highlights, just killing 2-3 members at a time. Right. It was very impactful around the mid fights, I think, more than we saw during the push. But at the end of the day, those are the ones you got to win, and that's where Kanga were finding their control. SSG just could not compete with them when it came to objective time, whether it was the Inara, whether it was Luna. They just didn't have enough presence on the objective to really stop it.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, Io, the odd one out in terms of the pick on Kanga's side. However, it still did end up working really, really well. They did extremely good. Like I said, 3-1 already. We're going to take a look at the map here, see where we're going to be going this time around, and it's going to be Ice Mines.
The great equalizer as it comes down. You're down in the set, maybe back against the wall, go to Ice Mines and hope to take it back for yourself. Normally we see this in a best of 5, it was like a map 3. I guess in a best of 7, it would have been a map 4. Depending on the team, right? It used to be really big. You roll back a little while to the PGS to kind of elongate some of these sets, give you a chance to win. It'd take you, you'd always be gearing up for the round 4, the 3 point fight, where you're going into the very end. And then people figured it out. And that's where things have broken down this year. People know Ice Mines a little better. SSG, we saw them be successful here earlier. So they do know things like Terminus can work. They can play the Drogos that they want, which Freeze is very, very adept at. And they have that kind of wide arsenal to potentially pull out here and push Kanga against the ropes.
Yeah, Willow, Strix, gone off SSG's side. Kanga, of course, going with the Atlas Makoa more than likely. Get rid of Atlas. You don't want to let SSG be able to first pick that Makoa. Just don't want to let anybody be able to do that. 2 frontliners gone. 2 damage dealers gone on either side right now. SSG with the first pick. Khan was banned last game. See him this game. First picked once again.
It's been a big pick this set for either side. Definitely very successful for Kanga early on, and I believe successful for SSG a little bit ago. So not too surprising to see him be as high priority as he could be. Opens up a lot, And let's face it, his ult at the beginning of a round, especially on a map like Ice Mines, it is unforgiving if you are on the receiving end of that. But it's also unforgiving if you do not connect with it. So you have to play very carefully. Sadak, we saw earlier, majority hit, but he did miss a fair few. So kind of keep your eyes open for that one. And speaking of champions, we saw do really, really well on this map earlier. Freeze God knocked it out of the park on Bomb King on this map.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they want to be able to take that one for themselves, which, of course, leaves Drogos open, so they still have an opportunity there to be able to counter out there with their own blaster. Ying being hovered on SSG's side for that extra sustain. And they're going to have to see, we're going to have to see who it is they're going to try and go for this go-around. Our Bomb King on Kanga side, Khan, Ying, well, they're opting to switch to the Drogos immediately to be able to lock that in for Freeze.
Now, this will be an interesting play in the draft. Drogo's this early.
If you need help,
he's got some counters
don't
on
hesitate
him.
to ask.
They already know the other blaster, so they grab this. Not necessarily because blasters are, maybe up against the line. And well, I guess we have seen Kanga and other teams go double blaster in the past. But it's more of a, we want this. It's going to work well for us. And we're potentially expecting as SSG for them to not pick up Barrack so that we can grab it a little later. Maybe we'll go Terminus, depending on how things go. But Terminus here is kind of the bluff call, right? Can Kanga play it the way we've seen SSG play it, the way we have seen specifically Zarini on the Knights pilot it, to make it very impactful and kind of counter out this Drogos? Have they been practicing it enough, since he's kind of arisen, or is it just going to be an unfortunate scenario where the counter is on the table and they can't play it?
Right, exactly. I mean, of course, they have to consider all of their possible options here on Kanga's side. Grover, very interesting, but we've seen him not a lot today, actually. Now that I mentioned that, barely seen him at all today, especially considering the fact that Bright Marsh has been picked, we've seen Ice Mines. We haven't seen Grover, surprisingly. We've been seeing more Damba today than anything else.
It's definitely been in the sidecar for this one overall.
Sure.
A couple of other supports taking the main stage. Ying even being picked up here before him. Grover very, very good on the mid fights. Very good here. Very good, as you had said, on Bright Marsh. Split Zone Quarry is another map where he shows a lot of prowess on. And he's kind of number 2, I would say, right now on Kanga's list. Furia comes up first, depending on the map, then maybe swap in the Grover IO again on some of these other maps. So Gara kind of jumping between his flavor, SSG, kind of opting for, I want to say, more normalcy in their Yings, their Maldambas, their Genoses, but I guess Gen-I? I'm not sure what the plural of Genos is. Either way,
type it in chat so we can find out.
they get this Terminus, they get this Cassie.
Come on.
It's looking good. This is a really good Ice Mines draft from SSG.
Yeah, I mean, Ash.
Man, I actually...
Actually, yeah, SSG's draft that's kind of nutty. I like that a lot, actually. I mean, they've got Ying for sustain, Terminus to be able to counter out that BK, Khan, of course, another hit scan presence, Overpower, always strong, Dragon Punch, and Scout. I mean, not just ultimate-wise, but just what those characters have to offer. I really like SSG's draft already.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure who I lean with here. I think they both have their merits, and they're both bringing something strong. SSG feels like theirs might be able to withstand a little less around the point, but more overall Ice Mines. Like they could, if they capture an objective, this is a team I could see pushing pretty easily. Kanga, it feels like they control the mid fight.
Right.
And if they get it, maybe they can push. It depends a lot on Evil Eye here and a lot on Gara to kind of keep them rolling. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this game on Ice Mines. Game 5. Here we go.
Game 5, getting ready to kick off down on Ice Mines. Kanga Esports. Huge win on Waters Gate, puts them within 1 of sealing up our third and final set of the day. Ice Mines drafts through and through for both teams. Get some Terminus for SSG. Get some Bomb King and Victor for Kanga. It's going to be a fun one.
Always love seeing some Terminus. I think this is going to be one of the maps where we are going to see him consistently. I also think that SSG almost play it as kind of an Inara counter. I noticed that Rashao was running hitting your Masker Axe gives you 10% charge on your Siphon, so interesting. Bulldozer picked up for Rashao, I'm assuming to just burn through the Warder's Field if it's down in that fight as well.
Right.
Burn, shoot down the Inara, and that at the same time. Passive start kind of for both teams, and yep, he is still running that Inara counter build. She's never going to be able to stop you from wailing on her with the axe. And actually, I think this in a little bit.
Ow!
Not ready to stop him, but those blasts, they come with a price, and that price is enemy damage. Rhino the first death, though, a little bit overextended in the enemy choke.
Yeah, Terminus is just controlling this side of the map. Kanga, though, they've been fighting from the point this entire time. Sure, Rochelle buys a little bit of space, maybe the first blood, but there has been no area onto the point. Gera, an aggressive vine to the high ground, catches a couple bolts too many from Ares. Chronix is able to trade out, but nothing else. Kanga are stalled out at 54%.
That might have been the most aggressive Grover play I've ever seen.
I almost couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Not just in competitive play, but in every casual and every ranked game I've ever played. That was bold.
I'm diving this Cassie, and we're doing it
and
now.
And Con.
And Con, right.
I mean, he's back here. It worked out. They lost point presence, but they have a good comp to take it back over. Chronix on this Victor, very, very impactful, I think, on this map. Con getting pressured, but Dragon Punch coming in from SSG really far away, but it should be able to find a target.
Oh, he does. Connects onto Joel's. Chronix is able to trade out. Barrage now. Flying through from Chronix. The Victor starting to hit the shots. Relatively even fight here. Illusory Rift as well for Spacestation Gaming may keep them into this fight. Back around the ice blocks is Chronix. Sadak helps Ares win that engagement, but King Bomb rolls through, finds the long range stuns. Evil Eye gets the kill. Actually a sneaky Poppy Bomb right into the waiting arms of Sadak, who gets that kill. Now Gera's gonna try to buy himself some vengeance for the ill-spoken Vine just a moment ago. Spacestation Gaming finding the kill, 78% for them on the point. Commander's grab over the Inara wall. Things starting to slow down as Joel falls off.
Commander's grab hit right when the wall went up, so he just lifted Joel's up and over the wall like it was a hurdle, throwing him away to get staggered. And SSG win the first mid on the back of, I'll be honest, all right, I'm gonna just say it. It was on the back of Gera kind of throwing himself into the backline of SSG.
Yeah, well, they were
I
so
can't
in
even
control.
pretend like it was anything
They were
else.
so in control, you're right. I mean, they had the mid sealed out. And then you see a tree flying across the screen wondering what in the world's going on. I mean, they at least traded out one, but the healer most notably wasn't there to keep Kanga in the fight. So.
The Siphon card is actually doing wonders for Xiao, getting a lot of sustain just by bullying them. Kanga trying to turn it, but I don't think they have the cauterize to really burn through this Illusory Rift quite yet. And yeah, SSG are the ones getting the picks. Joel's left out on an island, and FRC's going to pick him off.
Yeah, I think that's a losing fight for Kanga. They realize the same. They're trying to fight, but a double kill from the Drogos is going to keep things moving. Double kill for Drog, double kill for Khan. Payload knocking on the doorstep at 1.5 minutes left.
FRC topping the damage charts by a long way, 13,000 after that one round. Only deaths. Oh, Sadak and Midtown both currently deathless. And this is, I mean, Gore was right about this being a good comp, I think, to push, especially controlling this area. Terminus can block out that one angle, and FRC can lay in the damage, but off the bump. Just over the Siphon, gets through, knocks Xiao down, and now it's just FRC to lock down this choke point from a tank and a blaster.
1 more minute for Kanga to defend here. Do have some ultimates. Joel's very low on the Inara, kind of back from the rest of his team here. Gera eyeing the Vine, not going to take it this time likely. Would be a similar outcome you'd imagine if you were to Vine up there right now.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, right. I mean, at this point, anything's possible. He is hitting some good axes here, though. Ares missing a couple down onto the Grover. 30 seconds left. Forced back. Kanga, Evil Eye, kills Rochelle. So that's a good start. Point tank gone. Reanimate was ready, electing to use it at a later date, though. Ares keeps his team in it with a kill on a Jolt.
But the defensive advantage is so strong on this map where the spawns are so far away. Rochelle, I'm assuming, I know he doesn't have Master Riding, I don't think yet, so very, very long trek to make it back. Probably should have called an Uber, but he's not here quite yet. Rhino Evil Eye still controlling this left side, though. Trying to supplement on the right, considering Joel's is down, but finally back up, able to contest that. I can put a little bit more focus onto FRZ God, but the damage from him is just too strong. 1v2, FRZ forces them both back into spawn.
Rochelle taking up point duties.
They got
The giant jump out, and they were so scared of contesting it, it just rolled through. That has fooled me like 3 times today, where like a fight is brewing, and then one team just steps too far back. Kanga not wanting to contest with Rochelle there, 2-0 up. Go SSG.
That's actually so rough. They used Seismic Crash and Whirlwind in that last moment.
That's what I mean. Everything starts to go, oh, this is it. This is the fight to decide the point. But we're too scared of Rochelle, who's diving forward, and we just back up too far.
I think that just shows how much the pressure's on. I mean, these games are these are close teams in seed. Depending on who wins this, it could actually kind of establish a lot of things moving forward into Worlds.
Could flip things around. I think with the win this morning, it makes it 10 wins for SSG, and then Kanga's still down at 8. But this is just to keep pace. Kanga need this to try to stay in a relatively closer spot. Try to avoid those top minor league teams. Dragon Punch ready for Freeze God. Gonna start off this mid, looking for one. Connects with Rhino after the knockback is there. Evil Eye Poppy Bomb backwards. You don't want to get heavily staggered out, firing away as Chronix Ares around that bend. Catches out some good damage as well. Evil Eye finally finding the Terminus. That's going to be a good time to use the reanimate. No damage just yet, but it buys him an extra life.
Joel's going a little bit too aggressive. He's playing on a Grover healing. He can't be getting away with that when his healing is so far away. Xiao now with a couple blasts to burst whoever goes through. Cho playing so forward. They can't really stop him, and Rhino goes down again. Not able to use the assert dominance at all through the entire mid.
Yeah, Rochelle has had a tough time staying alive, though, on the flip side of things. Frontline for frontline, 90%. Barrage might need to find some value here for Chronix, 96% as the contest begins from Joel's. They do get mid-tow, so that's going to buy some space now for Kanga, but how much can they get on the back end of that one healer kill is the question. Can you start to snowball this out of Spacestation Gaming's control? For the moment, it looks like yes, but they're not heavily staggered out. They're still in a range to fight back.
They might be able to get staggered here, though. Look at this pressure. Both tanks shoving in main. Scout means they can't do anything sneaky, but they're just going to disengage. They have to force them into a Bomb King choke. That is not easy. Poppy Bomb delays Rush out just a little bit. The double comeback, I don't think they have a chance.
Yeah, he throws the Grumpy Bomb back just to seal it up. In a quiet mid-fight comes up Kanga. 5-2 and 1 for Evil Eye on the Bomb King. Joel's tough time, 1-5 and 2 on the Inara. Another Dragon Punch. Timeout, not going to connect here. Start to a good defense for Spacestation Gaming, not letting Kanga move forward at all. Rocks with a bit of a flank, though, finds the route behind Freeze God and behind Rochelle here. A grenade is going to get blinked out of the way by mid-tow. Sadak gets the kill. This is potentially great for Chronix. Gets one, looking for two. The body block's just too much. Mid-tow had some good healing as well. Not sure it would have been enough. Rhino gets staggered out, and Space Station Gaming find themselves a good start to the defense.
Kara ready for his 1v3. All right, Smartly does leave this time. Not ready to tempt fate anymore.
That's the defensive vine. You don't get to see that too often.
It's a rarity out of Kara, but for now, they use it smartly to move forward. And now Joel's needs to reconnect with his healer a little bit. I think they can find a kill. Nobody's really watching short, actually, on SSG, so if they wanted to play on that side, they could do a little bit of damage here. Joel's getting pretty low from that salvo. Might actually end up going down on the way out. So low, but barely gets into the Grover range at the last second.
Wow, stays around the corner, and Rochelle was stunned out. Evil Eye not able to stack enough bombs to find the kill. Looks like another Dragon Punch is going to go waiting. Got plugged out just a little bit too much health at about half health. You're not going to want to take that. Minute and 5 seconds left now. Kanga way back on defense. Space Station Gaming looked great to make this one 3 points. A very difficult map to come back from, especially when you're this zoned out this early on.
At the rate that FRZ is charging Dragon Punches at, though, I'm not even worried about that at all, honestly. He'll have another one, it's going to matter. Already at 65%. Evil Eye and Rhino pushing pretty aggressively on the short side. I said they had to pay attention to it, and it seems to be paying off. Drawing some attention. Sadak very close to them now, though. They might have gotten a little bit baited in as Ares goes in there to try to find a pick.
Good combustible shot as well from Freeze. First kill in this re-engage. Chronix onto mid-tow. Down comes the crash from Rochelle. This one's just going to tumbleweed in favor of Kanga Esports, but I don't think Space Station will feel too nervous about that. Payload has not moved even a hair off of the point left.
I think they just realized that, too.
Yeah.
Because Evil Eye's moving forward, he's like, wait.
Wait, he looks back. Wait a second. The
Oh,
payload's
no.
not almost in yet? What?
They have plenty of time. Well, they have plenty of overtime. Let me correct that.
Technically, there's unlimited overtime.
There is unlimited overtime. They have plenty of time to settle themselves up, but they didn't take at least as much ground as I thought they might. Guess they wanted to be close enough to their healer, who's going to be the one on the objective. Joel's now finally re-entering that heal radius, but Sadak very aggressive and short.
Yeah.
Almost kills Chronix. Rhino gets forced out to rotate away to fight him, and Joel's going down. This actually might end up going 3-1.
Yeah, Rhino's not in range to contest the payload there. Good defense from Space Station Gaming. Put them up 3-1 here on Ice Mines. The Bomb King quiet so far here in this map. Evil Eye. Good mid, though, to help turn this one around. 93% is where Spacestation stalled out on. Fight back, gets a pick onto Midtown, and that set everything else up.
This really is the ideal position for Bomb King to snap. I know that it's super hard to push into a BK that's controlling this area. He just does so much AoE damage, going to force your cooldowns early. By the time you finally touch the objective, if you're a Nara, your damage reduction's probably just going away.
Yep.
Thankfully for SSG, they have the Terminus who can kind of, just tap fire the Siphon, play around that a little bit, but
Man, those front lines.
still tough. But the front lines in
Oh,
Kanga
no.
really getting bullied.
0-7-1-9. They
rough.
combined 1 and 16 for the front line of Kanga Esports. Something that needs to change here. You mentioned credit advantage all the time. You got a great one with your Space Station right now. A defense, a mid fight, a successful push, although really only off the mid. So Kanga, I guess relatively even as far as those bonus credits go. So this is one they need to win to maybe end this set. Whirlwind starts off. Kanga Esports gonna stay aggressive. Dragon Punch to counter it out. Finds the stun as Freeze God flies by the window. Evil Eye now with the flank. A double kill for the BK. Might make it 3. One more. Doink will do it, but they're just gonna stagger him out. Rochelle has reanimate, but it is not gonna find him anything. And this is a fast cap retake from Kanga. Things are looking good, at least right now for them. No ultimates, whereas Space Station have 2. I mean, reanimate, not really good for retake. Overpower could change some stuff around. Is that CC'd out, or did he just miss?
I'm going to
guess it
side
could
with
have been
Sadak
either.
and say it was CC'd out. I'm gonna give him a little bit of props there and say that it was a good earthing guard by Joel. Sadak, very aggressive actually, catches Evil Eye in the back. Wall not really saving Joel's the way he wants it to, and look at this aggression on the cart. Both tanks just walk through the window and roll straight over the backline of Kanga.
Well, if Space Station Gaming have anything to say about it, this is going to be another 2.5-minute defense to prevent Kanga from fighting back. And it's at least starting off that way. There you go, Joels. Get the cart moving forward a little bit. Literally a half-wheel turn forward before falling out. Could make the difference. We'll have to see how far they can get for Kanga once they respawn out here. But, you know, yet again, you don't need that many data points to understand Ice Mines is hard to fight back from, especially when you're that heavily staggered out.
Yeah, for sure. But now, I mean, Kanga kind of figured out what won them that push last time, and they're just repeating that. They just need to stop feeding FRZ resets on this combustible because it's going to make it too hard to push through. I expect another fire spin to come through in probably a moment. Yep, going there towards the side. Probably going to kill Evil Eye. And it does with the pressure from Sadak. And now Rochelle's going to get aggressive off of that. Onto Chronix, but just not fast enough. This is why Nimble's so important on Terminus. Can't follow up on any kills. Almost gets it, but goes down and won't spend the reanimate most likely.
Talk about 2 different sides of the frontline conversation. You have Sadak at 14, 3, and 13. And then you have a combined 2 and 20 now for the front line of Kanga Esports. Sadak alone, actually, anyone else alone on Space Station Gaming, at least kill-wise, has more affected kills. So a very hard game for Kanga. They are just getting whittled down slowly but surely. Ares, Freeze God, the rest of them, they are blowing up. It's Kanga Esports front.
And that's, I think, honestly, partially in debt to it's a combination between the Drogos and the Terminus because these tanks can't really do much of anything into the term. He's getting constant Siphon regen off of them because their damage just isn't high enough. Great pressure by FRZ, and you can see this Drogo is just face tanking the tanks because he knows they just don't have the damage to kill him.
And wouldn't you guess it, the front lines yet again that catch death here for Kanga Esports. 15 seconds left. Sadak is the one doing the killing around the end there on the Con, or Chronix rather. Well, on Con, but kills off Chronix. 5 seconds left on this defense. Not much progress made, quite literally none for Kanga. What matters is they get the mid fight. 15 minutes eclipsed here on Ice Mines. Kanga need to win another mid fight to tie up the game. And, you know, if Space Station Gaming have anything to say about it, we're going to a 0.7 mid, but Kanga got one more mid fight to turn around. This is a good King Bomb, right? Catches Freeze God right when he flies by.
And I actually think, I don't remember who wins the trade if they crash into each other. I think they both die. So Evil Eye had to dead that manually to get that. I think the best way to state the importance of how much Evil Eye is doing is think about every replay we've seen of a fight that Kanga's won.
Right.
It's Evil Eye in the same spot every time.
Right.
Every single time. It just kind of uncontested once Rochelle has to look somewhere else, and Rochelle kind of has to look at the point. Khan really can't get away with that. It's going to come down to these ultimates again. Shao was able to do a lot of pressure through the barn, but wasn't enough to keep them out for too long. See what ultimate Scout used first. Very good to start a fight. But Kanga kind of playing defensive again. They already kind of showed they know how to play around the wall hack ultimate. Now that it's running out, looks like execute might happen. Overpower connects, but gets burned before he can throw him off.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Chronic somehow kills Sadak. Maybe a fadeaway shot is what he got there. It is a 1-for-1 though. Victor for Khan in this case, and Evil Eye feeling a little bit more open. Now starting to tee off behind Rochelle there. Not going to be able to mitigate any of that damage. The point fight continues. Evil Eye wins it. King Bomb looking for some effectiveness there. The reanimate from Rochelle puts him right back in the fight. Ares, though, gets the kill onto the Bomb King, and he's still alive as well, chipping away damage. Back behind, Freeze got a little bit far forward, but gets out alive. Space Station Gaming looking great on this mid.
Jules contest the point. He only had a couple percent given up for that, but I don't know if there's even a chance for Kanga to get back in now. Dying that late with 60% left when you're basically the only person who has a chance to touch because you used Assert Dominance to stun somebody. No way to get back in. Evil Eye goes down. The dash is coming in, but there's no way they're going to reach the objective in time.
Kanga Esports have spent more time in that spot of the map than anywhere else throughout that entire Ice Mines game. That's a 16, 17 minute, pushing on 20 minute Ice Mines game. Does come to a close though. Space Station Gaming win game 5, still down 1 in the set. Kanga still on set point, but a good fight back from SSG put them within striking distance.
Yeah, just great play, I think, in the end. There, the aggression that they had. They used the Scout, and they just got a little bit of ground, but they didn't get overzealous.
Right.
They know how Kanga kind of like to play against the Scout by now, so that little bit of adaptation, I think, really made the difference. That and Ares just being in the perfect position. He hears the King Bomb, he's like,
said, okay.
Bye.
And then runs away.
Waited in the window. That's exactly what he has to do.
Right, it's a
Play his
perfect
life.
play. Perfect play.
Yeah.
And then everyone on Kanga, I mean, not everyone, the front lines notably of Kanga. You'll see the slash lines here in just a minute. Tough game for those two. Big fight back there from Space Station Gaming. Buying themselves one more game here in our third and final set of the day. Find out how things play out right after this.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys, to the PPL. SSG able to clutch that one out on Ice Mines. Currently, the score is 3-2 in Kanga's favor. They're still up a game. SSG also could be able to manage to clutch 2 more out, but they've won on Ice Mines both times today. Both times they've drafted Terminus, and it's worked out for them.
And SSG have, well, I guess, avoided the curse. The curse at this point in the PPL, in my mind, is if a team goes up 3-0, you're losing the set.
Right.
If you are not that team. So being able to find that 2-1 kept them alive in it. Now that they've kind of continued pushing it, this is kind of the turnaround point for them, right? Kanga have notoriously had trouble closing out sets this split this year in general, and even though they had some pretty solid performances, it's hard to argue against 168,000 damage from Drogos.
Yeah. We had talked a little bit about it before. You had mentioned it more than me, though, in this case, about how Drogos is just strong. And put that on top of the fact that FRZ God is a good player, then you have this result. 168,690 damage. 8-5 and 13. Slash lines are enormous compared to Sadog's in this case, which is 18, 4 and 15. 3-3 and 20, 28 for Mitao. 11 and 5 and 12 for Ares. 5, 6 and 11 for Rachel.
Just so good. I mean, I think 11, 5, and 12 probably the one that stands out the most, other than the 18, 4, and 15.
Right.
Two very, very prominent members of SSG standing out more than they normally do. But Freeze God might have been the one that was more impactful when it came down to it, just because of where the Drogos was able to kind of fight. And this is actually one of the biggest conversations I think to have. They got the Terminus and the Drogos. Terminus at this point is maybe considered the counter here and is the one thing that could have controlled this a little more. And they didn't really have anything to lock it down and to stop him from, doing him, other than the one time the King Bomb was able to knock him out of the Dragon Punch.
Right, exactly. I mean, you'd be able to just throw out that fire spit in those very close quarters. You have the salvo, of course, and Drogos is just building ult charge. He's just absolutely wrecking the competition. You're getting hit by all these AoEs. And, of course, Freeze doing what he does best, which is pretty much destroying competition most of the time. You said it before that he had the invocal effect from Renegades. It's the fact that he's able to control so much of these fights just off of something very, very little.
Well, there's a lot of options, I think, for SSG and for Kanga to maybe try and switch some things around. I think Kanga maybe trying to work to deepen their champion pockets.
Okay.
On the other side, I think SSG need to kind of figure out where exactly they need to toe the line.
Yeah, that's for sure. Ascension Peak, in this case, will be the 6th map that we have in store for us right now. Kanga 3-2 already. Of course, the first ban that's going to come out, of course, is Willow. Don't want to deal with her.
I actually haven't seen how Willow can do on this map, although based on what I've seen from other blasters, specifically like Drogos, not too surprising to see that she'd be banned out. I think a lot of control could come, even on as big a point as this, where Dead Zone might not cover the whole thing. You definitely could see her impact everything. Wouldn't be surprised. In this case, SSG are probably going to be the Atlas Makoa bans. That your standard Atlas Makoa stamp of approval or stamp of disapproval, I guess, from the teams as it comes through for every set. And I'm wondering what kind of tanks Kanga could want here. I mean, this is one of those maps, I mean, if you're theory crafting, could potentially see an IO come through, and
Sure.
she could potentially swing things in your favor. Placing Luna around the statues while still being able to capture could allow you to, this was actually one of the maps when if she was first announced that I was thinking Con Ash with an IO behind you. You put Luna on the point in the right spot, maybe the statue protects her, and you just fight. You don't worry about anything else. You just fight and do whatever you can. But Barrick very good on this map, and Nara very good on this map. Options are endless.
Yeah, I mean, one of those options at least being Strix in this
Wowzers.
case. We've seen it brought out before. I personally don't think it's too surprising. Ricotta's played Strix on Ascension Peak before. So we've seen it every now and again. We don't see it barely on this map because we don't really ever see this map anymore.
That's absolutely true. In that sentence. So I was going to say, it's the only thing that's weird about it to me, like Strix on Ascension Peak, outside of Ascension Peak maybe being the oddity here, is Strix being first pick. He's good, don't get me wrong. But seeing him that high up, it feels like there's going to be something SSG can do to maybe deal with it. And normally, if you're looking at Splitstone, if you're looking at maybe Frog Isle, you typically think Sniper v Sniper, blocking Kinessa. I don't know if I agree with a Sniper v Sniper on this map, just because of the angles that have to be played. It's not your standard, I have a spot where I can poke out, you have a spot where you can poke out, let's see who wins, like who gets the first shot or whatever. It's much more, you're standing on the high ground at the stairs, you drop down, now you're standing out in the open. You almost never have cover as the sniper to peek from.
You trust
so Strix will have maybe that advantage because of his stealth being able to get him out of trouble. But good long range, good angles for him. Again, much like Brightmarsh, I was saying, he has very solid angles. They're just far and few in between. You have to be very careful with where he stands.
Nara, Maeve, these two going to be picked. First two picks for SSG on this side. Kanga going for the Strix, Eevee, and potential last pick, of course, could go for the healer. Could very well go for the frontliner. Either or, but regardless, you're going to have two damage dealers that are more than likely going to be locked in already on Kanga's side on such a peak. Maeve could cause a little bit of trouble for the Strix. Like you said before, there's not really a place that he can peek out. And, you will pick a sniper in response to that because they can peek out too. It's not really anywhere he can go that Maeve wouldn't be able to get to.
Yeah, no standard, how I would word it, like window in Frog Isle, or up on the balcony when you're on either Timber Mill or Splitstone Quarry. Either one works, where you have a place where you can kind of like poke your head behind, heal up in the event of some danger. So Maeve definitely going to be a huge threat for him. The thing that's going to maybe keep them on lock, and very, very reminiscent of the last time we saw this map today, Eevee. If Evil Eye goes huge on Eevee, it doesn't matter. You could theorycraft everything else. It doesn't matter. We saw what Ninu was able to do, and it doesn't matter how much planning the Knights put into today.
Right.
If Ninu has a game like that, you're done. And that's the same case here for both the Maeve and the Eevee. If one of them, either Ares, Freeze God, whoever's playing that on SSG, or Evil Eye on the side of Kanga, have their kind of pop-off moment, the game's done. It just depends on who gets to show up and how big it is in the process.
Anar, Maeve, Barrick, Maldamba.
Spirits feast on your ashes.
Of course, he can keep that Maldamba juice up all the way. But you mentioned it earlier, Gore. They ended up picking the Barrick first, or at least one of the first couple picks, because of the fact that they didn't really want to deal with this. I don't remember specifically if it was Kanga that opted to do that, whether they banned the Barrick or ended up trying to lock him out, picking it. But Anar Barrick, that's a tough one to come into with just Strix EVCon.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, again, my eyes are still open for like a Con Ash IO combo.
Right.
Because it could, in theory, work, but it's not necessarily top tier. It's probably not going to work against SSG on their kind of hot streak right now. But Anara Barrick, about as stalwart as you can be. Guessing Sadak probably on the Barrick, and we saw how big of a performance he could have on that earlier, where it was an off tank, but he played it. I mean, he was doing as much damage as the Strix that Rock Monkey had pulled out. He was up there with it, and a huge amount of control for them. So instead, Kanga are going to opt for the Nando Genos, and Fernando, we saw what Lazy could do on this map with that.
Yeah, I mean,
My heart's beating,
having
my
that
hands are
Genos,
shaking,
having
and
that
I'm
Luminary
still
buff, of
shooting.
course, is going to be able to help out everyone on Kanga. And ironically enough, we were just talking about how you wouldn't really expect to see a sniper battle. But yeah, here we are. Strix on Kanga's side, Knessa on SSG side.
Not sure I like it. I'll be honest.
Not sure I like it either.
I don't know what kind of taste it's leaving in my mouth right now. I'm not. It's like, I guess like if you're a picky eater and you get served something and like you know the ingredients in it are all things you like, but it just doesn't quite look the way that you expect it to or something. That's what that Knessa feels like to me. It's just not sure where it falls on my scale of yes, this is going to work. Again, depends on who's playing it. Aries had said in the interview earlier that he's been practicing a lot of Knessa lately, and it just happened to be a bad game. We'll have to see if maybe that holds true.
Yeah, hopefully this will work out for him in Game 6, Ascension Peak. Let's go.
Ascension Peak, maybe the 6th and final game of this set. Kanga Esports looking to seal things up. Strix versus Knessa, not a map where I would have expected to see that, but here it is. It arrives all the same. Aries, tough game on the Knessa earlier on, so some questions to answer here, to be sure.
Could be FRZ.
Could be FRZ. That's certainly a conversation to be had. They can both play both, in theory. I mean, we've certainly seen Aries on the Maeve. So, but it's not enough to take FRZ off of them. It's definitely a question to make.
He's historically a Maeve player. I mean,
Right.
they were pulling out Maeve in scrims
So it is
before I
FRZ on
joined
Maeve.
them. It is FRZ on Maeve. So Aries back on the Knessa after the game before, and hopefully a different look. Again, kind of a strong team will recognize when it's a pick and when it's just the drafted jump. Having determined that. FRZ right now winning this 1v1 versus
heavily.
Eli, pushing out very far. The point control still even for Kanga, but Xiao keeps that control locked down and gives him a small advantage.
Evil Eye looking to take advantage. Does find a plug shot onto FRZ, and then the killing blow onto Rochelle. Now he can get a little bit more aggressive onto the Maeve, but Freeze God finding a couple more daggers. Has the legs to get back up and over. Chronix with a kill of his own. Starts off the sniper battle with a 1 in his kill column. Aries quiet to start off this game. Did plug away some damage. Gara gets the kill. Chronix does most of the damage on the board first. Goes Kanga.
Great patience from Chronix, and I think this is kind of the thing I always see with him. I feel like he's always positioned very far back. It kind of reminds me of Rock.
Yeah.
In that he won't be too over-aggressive in a lot of situations. He knows when he has to prioritize his own health and his own just ability to deal damage rather than chasing that frag.
Right.
And that was huge there. I mean, it's what burned FRZ. If he got a little more aggressive, maybe they wouldn't have seen it. Still alive to keep up this pressure,
God.
rattling off
Look at
headshot
the
after
health bars.
headshot. Health on SSG is really bad. It's hard for Damba to spread all those heals.
Yeah, everyone getting plugged out by Chronix right now, finally. Some of them starting to get topped off. But Chronix was firmly in control of effectively everyone on Spacestation Gaming side of things. Good shot from Aries. Wins the 1v1 against Chronix. All the kills begin to cascade. A triple kill. Aries answering the questions we've brought up. Certainly making a statement.
Out-damaging Chronix by 5k right now. Only 2 minutes 50 into the game, so plenty of time for the sniper battle to go either way. Aries currently on top of it, on the back of a really strong headhunter push. Could use it there, I think aggressively, his first 3 kills of the game, but not enough death in his column quite yet. Very, very aggressive from SSG. They actually catch Gera kind of alone in main. Genos doesn't need to be that far forward, and SSG just taught him why.
Aries playing aggressively on this sniper, moving into the point. He's going to teleport back. To back off a little bit as Kanga starts to respawn. First round of ultimates starting to come online. Both teams, everything but the headhunter ready to go. Gera could kick down that door with a good through time and space here. Knessa still holding that top damage spot, 27,000. Barrack down in second place. Gera just wide on the through time and space. That one's not going to connect for any kills. Evil Eye gets aggressive, gets the kill onto Aries. Freeze God trying to trade out. One more shot from Evil Eye will do it. He knows it, blinks in, misses the last shot, hits the third. And that's a good double from Evil Eye to help his team move forward.
Takes down both of the DPSs, and Rashao doing the smartest thing possible. Burn all your cooldowns, stand on the point, buy as much time as you can. That's really all that matters on the payload defense. You just gotta buy time. Force them into that overtime so you can set up checkmate situations is one way I like to call it. Because you know they gotta touch the point. If you make that point untouchable, you win. It's really as simple as that.
It's gonna go to overtime here. Not enough time to fully push it through unless SSG just failed to get near it. Chronix wins the engagement, 1v1 evened up here. Good Dread Serpent is gonna melt down overtime. Freeze God finds the kill onto the frontliner here, but now Chronix starting to play some frontline of his own. He's hanging out right behind Rhino. Seismic Crash drops down as well as the Midnight. A few members of Kanga locked up. Aries back from the respawn. That advantage always going to be in favor of Spacestation Gaming, but you gotta find a way to pick off Chronix. He started to tear through your lineup right now. Rhino's dead, so is Chronix. Defense is looking good for SSG.
Aries gets the better of Chronix there to help them hold this overtime push, but this is where SSG's comp should excel. You have 2 point tanks. If you can't hold an overtime and a choke that they're getting forced through into your sniper, I don't know why you drafted that comp, so they do. Their comp does come out in the end. The sustain does buy them just enough time. I think this is that trick kill earlier on the back of that headhunter. Steady aim combined with a headshot combined with the headhunter, just enough to one-shot Chronix full to dead. And great shots from him, pushing forward, rattling off there. Definitely want to see a little bit more of that, though. Coming out of SSG. Not necessarily, hey, Aries, kill everybody. But they need to be able to have these kind of explosive plays, I feel. They don't have too much aggression from their tanks. Their DPS really have to make up for it.
Aries is kind of got the team in that backpack. Once the sniper goes out, the team goes in 5-2-1 for the Knessa. Opting for this right-hand side here. Chronix, you can see through the silhouette, way back to the left. Sniffs out where Aries is going to be, finds the shot, into the stealth he goes. Now Aries has to be careful. A plug shot, some follow-up from Rhino, and that's a dead Knessa. He's actually going to get aggressive with a teleporter.
Very aggressive.
Be lucky that there wasn't some follow-up there. Another shot, an overpower. Sends Freeze God to the back line. Gera follows up on that one. Immortal as well, now burning away from Joels, who's forced to dash his way out. Through time and space, does connect. A nice couple of kills there for Gera, and suddenly this fight is tilted. Kanga Esports looking to retake.
Sniper point tank healer versus sniper point tank healer. Right now, Chronix getting the better of it. Aries pinned in the corner, and Joel's getting so aggressive, but the teleporter for Knessa just enough to get Aries out with the fireball.
There you go.
Back off cooldown. That's why you run Incinerate as high as you do, and Aries goes down for it.
Rashao as well, trying to pull things back with the Seismic Crash. I don't think it connected onto anything as much, if anything at all. That's going to leave him ultimateless in the backline there. Rashao fights back in. Sadak drops down the dome shield. About a third health for him. A double kill for the Inara. Staying alive on the point for Spacestation Gaming. Now Gera is back, trying to re-engage. And the tug of war continues, but this time SSG are the ones who are out in front.
And both tanks dying and now just respawning. Kanga have EV, so they have a good potential for a touch. Aries is on point. And so far this game, he's on point with his aim too. They need to worry about that Chronix very aggressive, gets Aries chunked pretty low, but healed by Mitao just in time. 87%, that's the overtime cutoff. Evil Eye hits Aries, fight will keep going.
Overtime starting to go down. Rhino very poked out. He's not going to be in range to get a touch, but Joel's is. Needs some healing. Ice Storm goes down. Sadak gets tossed around. Freeze God is able to get the kill onto Rhino, though. Now Rochelle has to stay alive as the lone point tank for Space Station Gaming, and maybe even add some kills here. Into the ice block goes Evil Eye. Now back out of the fight. Wall goes up. Evil Eye goes down, looking to pour out some damage. Rochelle finally killed off in this one, and Kanga Esports have pulled it back. Aries trying to fight his way back into the point as Chronic dips back out to the right-hand side. Evil Eye blinks in yet again, looking for some poke.
So much sustain from SSG. They just keep trading on and off the point. They're giving up a lot of cap time for this. Have someone ready to touch? Oh, FRC makes it at the last second. But in the panic, Chronix manages to find Aries. Both tanks dive Rhino, but he barely dodges out in time. They get the kill, but Chronix is just free-firing in main.
And yeah, Evil Eye wraps around the backside as well. Immortal does get used here. Rochelle finds the kill. Midtown somehow does as well. Dread Serpent down to the ground. Sends Joel's running, but he's still in range to contest. Evil Eye needs a miracle play here. Aries says, no, you're not. Joel's gets melted down, and somehow Space Station win the point.
Aries with a phenomenal performance on Kinessa so far, even with going down at Chronix earlier. I mean, the sniper battles, they're not always going to go your way. Comes back, does what he has to.
Oh.
It's very low.
Wow.
The headshot from Chronix, but healed back up. And one problem that I've noticed Aries having throughout this set, even through the last set, is peeking when he doesn't need to. A lot of times where he'll just be low and be like, I got this. And just goes down.
Right.
A lot of faith, but sometimes you just have to play it safe and play around your team. And he's doing that a lot more this set.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what helped flip things around, just playing more as a team instead of trying to get these individual frags. And I think that's kind of leading to why Aries is having such a good performance on this Kinessa compared to Serpent Beach
Yeah,
earlier.
but much better this time. I mean, enough so much that the first time we were kind of saying, why go back to the Kinessa, but he mentioned maybe just a bad game, and we're certainly seeing why he would say that, because Aries is having a heyday here on Ascension Peak. Kind of going back and forth with Chronix, granted. More recently, though, it's been Aries. Get down, Mr. President. Us, Rhino out in front, connects with the shot. That's not in favor of him. Payload moving forward. One less con in range. This has truly been a battle of the snipers. Freeze God, Evil Eye have found some presence, but it's been on who's ever able to plug down the health bars a little bit more.
Getting really low, and Joel's hears that Aries is low, tries to push in, but saved by Mitao at the last second. Everyone in SSG kind of disengaged, and Kanga used the fuel cooldowns to cross that distance. Long distance Dread Serpent, but it connects on Joel's. He's so low in the corner. Freeze goes in for the chase, but Evil Eye and Gary there to peel for him.
Yeah, not in range to get too much healing. Now he's able to back up. Evil Eye is gonna fire a few shots off if they get too aggressive. Void Grip in. Sadak rocket boots his way right into danger there. Freeze God trades out onto Joel's. Point tank for point tank is the trade. Mascara backs off, tries to re-spread out some of that healing. Payload inching closer. Nobody in range to contest just yet. Now Chronix gets to try his hand at the free high ground coming out of spawn. What do you use if you're Kanga here? You got everything. Space Station Gaming, no Dread Serpent. 15 seconds left. Overtime looms large over the horizon.
I would expect him to use quite a bit. Dome Shield already used. Rhino goes down to the back of it. Aries goes down to the side. A lot of backline damage gone. Evil Eye finding Mito, so no heal, so I expect no ultimates to come out for Kanga. More than likely, Evil Eye is just ripping through their backline.
Everyone is looking at the front lines. Chronix up in the high ground, and in the meantime, the Eevee's going to tear you apart. Sadak is the last alive. Good 2 kills from Gara there. Seals that one. One shot from Aries. Rips through. Connects with Evil Eye towards the end. We're tied up at 2 on Ascension Peak.
Is Gara's hair extra spiky today?
I guess it is. Normally it's a little further back.
It's a little bit, it's slicked back normally, right?
Right, it's a little bit more up.
Okay. Just making sure. I just wanted
making sure
to
you
know.
weren't seeing things.
Yeah,
right.
making sure I wasn't seeing things that Gara was.
It's that extra
on
edge that
edge.
allowed
Yeah,
him to
exactly.
find forward on the
If his hair
Grover
was
on his
down,
leg.
it could have been maybe in his eyes, and
Right.
he wouldn't have seen Sadak dashing
Sure.
away for that through time and space
Right.
kill. So good on them. Look at this sniper duel back and
Yeah.
forth. Pretty evenly matched. Chronix getting the edge in KD and damage, but I feel like Aries is just a threat constantly. But Rochelle just constantly firing, plugging away into Joel's. And Rhino, he's doing so much.
I was going to say, sorry, the frontline difference is still here in this game. I mean, so much of the conversation, and rightly so, has been surrounding which one of the snipers is kind of going off at a given moment. Rochelle's second damage in the game. He's helping his team find some kills. Another 2 for him here. 1 onto Joel's, 1 onto Evil Eye. Kanga Esports. All right, make it 3 for Rochelle. Inara, front line and doing the damage, doing the thing. 3 up, 3 down. Might make it 4 onto Rhino. Makes me choke on my words. All 4 fights in this mid are for the frontliner of Space Station Gaming.
Hope you don't doubt his Inara again, but he's so aggressive on her and knows exactly what he can get away with. Playing really bold with his cooldowns too. Sometimes he'll use DR wall and Wardersfield just to get 1 kill, and he knows what'll trade out. Probably gonna die here being aggressive, but just a little time for Ares. Nope, above half HP. Midtown gets a long range heal, and he walks away almost 6 digits already. Only 13 minutes into this game.
That's some confidence right there. Gets the double, make it 3, make it 4 for the man on the Inara. It's only 9,000 damage behind the Strix. The red, you know, top damage, of course, for Chronix on Strix, but then, you know, the next 4 are almost overtaking Evil Eye on that Eevee. You almost have 4 of the top 5 damage dealers on Space Station Gaming. They've controlled these mids. This defense only being stalled out by Chronix right now. Kanga weren't able to do anything really on that mid fight.
Honestly, comp to comp, this is kind of how you'd expect the flow of the game to go.
Yeah.
I mean, just 2-point tanks. Of course, they're going to have sustain when it comes to those mid fights. Sniper, Kinessa can get a little aggressive. 1 flank play can win that, but it won't win you a push.
Right.
Dreadserver comes in on the side. Forces Chronix maybe into Ares' angle. He catches that. Ares blinks down to point to help his team with a carbine, and 3 unanswered kills right now for SSG.
Yeah, everyone getting involved. Make it 4, another 1 for Rochelle. 12, 6, and 15 for the Inara. Almost keeping pace with Ares kills-wise. Good for 3rd highest in the game behind Chronix. I mean, compare, right. I mean, combine 12, 6, and 15 with 1 and 11 and 2 and 10 for the Kanga frontliners. Even Sadak at 5, 9, and 25. It's just been a discrepancy down the home stretch here. And this payload's moving quick. Space Station Gaming pushed this one in. We're going to a game 7.
And SSG, they've been here before. They're used to these comebacks, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them able to do it. Game 7's what I'd be more worried about at this point. Overpower does not connect. Can't use an ultimate there. Immortal used through time and space. Everything just not connecting. Seismic Crash just a little bit mistimed. Midnight for the execute, but Joel's catches FRZ.
Space Station Gaming are trying to end the game right now. Freeze God is down, but so is the healing for Kanga Esports. Joel's just getting melted away, trying to hang out behind that environment area over there, but he's not able to stay alive. Chronix is the last line of defense here. If Rhino's Battle Shout doesn't keep him involved, 200 health melts down to 0. Evil Eye might have to get in range to get a touch. A double kill from Inara might just seal it up. 5 in a row, says the announcer. 1 second left. Joel's gets Dread Serpented away, and wouldn't you guess it, we're going to a game 7.
Great draft from SSG. They said, hey, we got better tanks. Let's just draft the best tanks in the game and win. Sure.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, so much room was made for Ares. The sniper duel, he just backed up. If he got hit once, really smart by him. Never overextended in that fight.
Yep.
That 1v1. And I think it paid off dividends for them.
And you have to give a shout out to Ares. Infinitely better performance on the Kinessa this time around. A little shaky in our first set of the day. Finds a way to have a huge impact on this one on Ascension Peak, and what a fight back top to bottom from Space Station. They're down 3-1, win the next 2, and force 1 more.
When your Inara has a performance like that, I think you'd be shocked to lose at that point.
Yeah.
I mean,
when Rochelle is getting delayed quadra kills on the mid, if you find a way to lose, I don't know what to tell you. Space Station, they don't lose. They force a game 7 coming up right after this.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
That shade of doubt hanging around, got old. 'Cause darling, there is nothing right when all you seem to do is lie. Those days are gone. I'm walking tall while you're alone. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better, better. When I look at what I've done now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I
Welcome back, guys, to the PPL. Here we go. Game 7 on its way soon enough, but we have to talk about Game 6 first, of course. Already, SSG is able to tie it up against Kanga Esports. We're looking at a 3-3. They end up winning Ascension Peak, and now we're at a point to where I honestly didn't think this was going to happen.
Well, and I don't know who's going to win it. I mean,
Yeah,
Kanga
neither do I.
are at the point where, I mean, the one sentence we've said about them, and a lot of cases like this, I mean, I can even remember saying it when they went to Game 7 against NIP, where it's just like they have trouble closing sets out. They get to that 3-game barrier. Turning it from a 3 to a 4 seems to be the issue for them. SSG, though, I mean, they played it pretty darn well, if I do have to say so myself. 102,000 there from Ares. But what kind of game would you have if you didn't have top damage Anara for SSG? Chronix had to spoil it by getting a little bit more damage than her overall. But the fact that she's number 2 on the list shows exactly what Rachel was doing.
Ooh, boy, 15, 6, and 17 for Rachel, 16, 6, and 9 for Ares, 7, 7, and 17 for Freeze. Got both Sadak and Mitau having 29 assists. My goodness. Like you said, there's ever a game where I wanted my frontliner to be the core reason as to why I won, this will be it. Anara popping off entirely. 4,550. Absolutely amazing in the credits. Had the most credits in the entire game. Rachel pretty much got a delayed quadra kill. He was popping off.
I mean, there were so many moments. Ares also having, again, a very, very good redemption game on Kinessa based on what we saw earlier. A different performance. But we gotta ignore him. Kinessa's cool and all, but when you get Rachel having a performance like this, you cannot spend any time looking at the sniper. I mean, 3 kills in a row there. Again, so much damage that he was doing. This was a different level of performance coming down from him. He was playing like a guy with his back against the wall. He knew that if they lost, that it would get brought back from them. And now they're going to be looking forward, potentially finding themselves a set win, even though they went down early. I mean, it was 2-1, then 3-1.
Yeah.
3-2, 3-3, tie it up the good old-fashioned way, fight it back, and I can't think of a champion you can let that guy have now. I mean, if he's in this kind of zone, it is a different playing field that you have to start worrying about. His Barrack's going to be good, his Inara is going to be good. If you give him Khan and you force him on a double aggro, it's going to look good too.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of that fact, though, of course, Ascension Peak already out of the way. Here we are at Game 7. My goodness, Timber Mill, this is how you know it's been a long set. When you see Timber Mill as one of the maps that somebody has opted to go to in this case.
Yeah, I can't remember the number exactly. I think 3 maps now that will not have been banned or chosen total in the pool. So it's going to be, again, reaching into the pockets that come down with the kind of map pool. And now you could see maybe double snipers. Kanga already banding out Strix. This is the interesting strategy. Atlas Makoa, both can be prominent here. Both can also be ignored here. We've seen it kind of forgotten and forlorn in the bans in the past. But if SSG ban Atlas Makoa, Kanga bans Strix Kinessa, Willow will be open. We'll have Eevee open. You'll have so many different things that can function on this map available.
Yeah. I mean, Strix out of the way. Atlas off of the board. Kanga going for their 3rd pick right here in this case. I mean, they're trying to figure out what it is they don't want to be able to deal with. Of course, you can't get rid of the Willow. I can't imagine they try and let that through unless they wanted to be able to first pick it, in which case they may not ban it. But, I mean, the bans are still being considered right now. We are getting to the very, very end, and it is going to be Willow. Kanga don't want in the game.
Now, this to me is starting to scream that Kanga want to first pick Kinessa on this map.
Okay.
I mean, usually when a sniper's left open, she becomes, well, they become very prominent. If Kinessa banned, Strix becomes more prominent. If it's Strix banned, Kinessa becomes more prominent, especially on a map like Timber Mill. With Willow gone, I think Kinessa skyrockets in value. Drogo's is probably going to be up there as well, but Maeve, Eevee, all of these are going to be very important. I mean, this is the weirdest sentence I think I've said. My mouth is even having trouble forming the words, but we've even seen Buck be prominent on Timber Mill in the past. And so it's not out of the question if one of these teams maybe has a pocket pick like that to potentially whip out and cause some trouble.
Yeah, of course, they are trying to see who do Kanga want to start off their draft with. You brought up the Kinessa. Of course, they can't go for that. Already got rid of one sniper. Having one free range sniper, be very, very powerful. Of course, they haven't picked it yet. They're still trying to see what we got in this case. It's going to be Eevee, potentially, to be able to lock that in for Evilon.
Not too surprising. Again, there's two flanks that come to my mind as the most prominent on this map. Eevee's probably one of the top ones, if not the top one, followed very closely behind by the Mave, who I imagine will be probably locked in by SSG. Maybe not urgently, but it'd also be interesting to maybe see a double flank kind of strategy come down from Kanga if they did opt for that. It'd be a weird one. Not a strategy we've seen often. We do see it sometimes, though, so it's not out of the question. Might not be as strong on this map. It does depend on SSG, but they're going to go for hit scan and control. They're going to be able to control the objective with a barrack. They're going to be able to control the side fights, any of the boxes on the side, any of the buildings on the side with this con.
Yeah, barrack, con, barrack being locked in, con being considered more likely. They're not going to give that one up, and then for sure they're never going to let us down in this case in the draft. Barrack, con, first two characters that end up getting locked in. Kanga, of course, are considering who their 4th and 5th picks will be on their side. Eevee, of course, being the only one that has been locked in so far, but they've got plenty of choices to choose from.
Plenty of choices to go forward with as well, like you said. Inara was very prominent, but with 2 tanks already locked in, SSG probably going to ignore it. Again, though, Rachao, just as scary, if not scarier, on a champion that theoretically does more damage than Inara if you give it to the right hands. But SSG did leave the sniper open, so maybe leaving, feeling confident, I guess, against it, recognizing that it was more than likely going to be a pick. With Eevee already gone,
not welcome here.
Mave, to me, just skyrocketed in stock. But they're going to have to figure it out. I mean, Mave Leon, I guess, could theoretically fight this just as well, deal with the Eevee and the Kinessa all in one fell swoop while keeping them maybe pretty strong for Timbermill.
What doesn't kill me
and Mave,
better start running.
both of them together. Of course, having a luminary buff, really important, always the case through time and space when, ironically enough, well, not really necessarily a pun, timed, can do really, really well. Mave for the darkness, of course. Cassie being hovered. Kanga, of course, looking at their last 2 characters.
Triple DPS, wouldn't be surprised if it's a Furia.
Right.
Maybe snakes her way in there. And then this is one of those maps, normally I'm a huge advocate against Solar Blessing, and I still am, but I wouldn't mind it if it came through on this map as much. I think it could fit. Wouldn't be surprised if Garrett just went Cherish, though, with it. I like that SSG kind of maybe called their bluff, noticed the Eevee, Kinessa, and Nara, and immediately scooped up the Genos. Genos doesn't mesh well with Inara, but for triple DPS in general, he just turns it into kind of a glass cannon sort of thing.
That wasn't very nice.
So Kanga now locking it in, finish up with their triple DPS. There's a ton that can go right here, but I'm not sure it's all going to fall in. Cassie's the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, see here, Cassie, you are correct, is the wild card in this case, but of course you can have her to be able to counter out Mave Darkness, or considering who SSG is going to be picking dead last. Of course, they will go with another character here. Can you see the Leon here? Trying to be able to stop that Kinessa?
Again, I think Leon, and not even for Kinessa as much as it might be for Eevee, I think would fit perfectly for them. But SSG have been avoiding it. It feels like they've just been dodging Leon all day.
Oh, well.
So if they don't lock it in here, then something's wrong. If they do lock it in here, this is just a good draft. I actually think SSG have good counters. The only thing, again, that I feel is unaccounted for out of all of this is the Cassie. Leon, good counter to Eevee. Good, technically, I would say maybe a counter to Cassie. Good, equal to Cassie. Mave should theoretically be able to get back to Kinessa, so it's going to cause a lot of trouble for him there. There's just a lot of pressure for them, I think, to make those work and to explode. Genos is going to have his work cut out for him. Khan and Barrack are going to have to do a lot. Otherwise, Kanga, that triple DPS can get finicky.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to be able to put the work in. Leon is here for the very, very last game today. I'm really excited to see how this is going to go on Timber Mill. We're going to throw it right down to our casters to close this game.
Thank you very much, Fawn and Gore. No matter what, this is the second to last time you're going to see us today. One more time after this game. Game 7. That's not Kanga. That's Na'Vi. How'd they get back in here? Na'Vi. You'd probably like them in Game 7s, though. They're feeling confident. Kanga Esports looking to take it over SSG. SSG looking to answer back as well. Notable triple DPS for Kanga, and they get the one and only sniper left available. Leon on the opposite side for a little bit of range. Is that enough of a discrepancy, though? Is Knessa enough of a range advantage to push Kanga up and over?
Depends on the Midnight Scout difference, I think. Really, whatever one gets more, the Scout's always there, that I don't think they're going to be able to get onto the Knessa. I will say, though, this is kind of like the team's essence just boiled down.
Yeah.
Triple DPS, something weird out of the box for Kanga. SSG saying, Genos, Barrett, Khan, gimme, we want to brawl with you. Super aggressive from Rhino at the start. He's like, the chains are off. I'm on DPS for the first time today. Let me at him. And FRZ gets poked out, and it kind of leads to Kanga's initial start, but Ares catches him right to start. Now he can play this left roof, and they're going to have to give up this mid control.
And that's a big counter that Gormizer points out, is the Leon into the Eevee. Ever so important to take advantage of that one. Ares does so to start us off. 39%, Freeze God with another onto Rhino this time. Finally winning that engagement, getting back at him for scaring him off at the beginning of the game. Rhino tumbles out of the doorway, Freeze runs away. He's able to get back and get involved. Joels has to move forward now, 84% on the point, but he's kind of just getting plugged away by 3-4 members of Spacestation Gaming into the side room here. Void Grip up above his wall. Freeze God hits the final daggers. Now the triple DPS has no front line to contest, and they have not found anything for Kanga.
And Chronix misses the most crucial shot. Mitao lives. All the damage coming into the point. Sadak positioned so well during that fight. Butt upper. As soon as he got overwhelmed, dropped down, dashed so they couldn't use the height advantage to burn through his shield. Amazing wall, actually. Forces Gera right in front of FRZ. And even with Chronix on the top of the damage charts, not a single kill across the board for Kanga.
5-0-1. Ouch for Freeze God. He's done everything, helped out by Ares. Frontliners, healer, all have 3 assists as well. Ares continues his tear. Finally, first blood for Kanga. Evil Eye blinks into range, connects with Ares. Freeze God still alive though. A couple more daggers actually, and Rhino would have been dead. Payload this entire time though. This skirmish is going up on the roof. Freeze God's able to jump up, find the daggers. Midnight drops down as well into the ice block. Goes Evil Eye, double kill now for Freeze, looking for 3. Doesn't find it. Rachout gets that one. Payload getting dangerously close to going in for a 2-0.
Sadok's playing impeccably. I've never seen a Khan just get away with so much on a map that should be such a huge disadvantage for him. And it just, from the start to the end, he was on the Knessa. He was distracting Joels. He had 3 people looking at him while FRZ just went on a tear. That was perfect play by him, and FRZ is capitalizing on it so well.
If you didn't catch it, his streak is not going to be burning at the start of the next round. He got sniped out by Chronix at the very end once the round had already ended. Just a nuisance to Kanga throughout this entire round was Freeze God. Dagger after dagger connecting, the mobility provided. Here's a look at your wall. Sets him up, here you go. I'll deliver Garrett to you. Freeze God.
My liege.
At 8-1-3. Technically 8-0-3, but Chronix hit him with one last shot as the round expired.
Still gives him ult and credits.
Yeah.
It counts.
Listen, it does count. It's there. Chronix gets the ult charge, gets some credits, but it's not really died over the course of the game here.
Well.
Goodbye. I was not ready for all of that to combine all at once. Evil Eye absolutely blowing up. Ares and Freeze God combine the damage. The one Spirit Bomb, and bye-bye to Evil Eye.
Bit of an overzealous overpower, though, by Sadak. Pulls Gera out of position, but no one's able to follow up. Rhino now dueling with a great shot through the stairs by Rhino, but both people fighting back and forth. Mark finally going on to FRZ. He manages to catch Rhino on this chase. Rochelle gets feared, but nothing really comes out of it.
Evil Eye needs to just connect on a few more shots here. Good stun, but Sadak is able to Commander's grab out. 31% for Kanga, 12% now for Spacestation Gaming. The teleporter gets Chronix out of danger. That's not an engagement you're going to win if Freeze God's hitting all of his daggers, which we know he can. Evil Eye blinks up. Gets the kill onto Sadak. Rhino as well combines with some damage onto Freeze. And for the first time really in this game, Kanga have some semblance of positional control.
Joel's getting very aggressive here, though. Pressuring forward, capturing Rochelle, and getting the kill onto Mitao. Rochelle now pinned in. He's really willing to kind of push up and help them get this kill, but They have double comeback. There's no way that SSG will get back in time. And Kanga get their first point on the board so far of this Timber Mill. See how they decide to keep taking this. I kind of liked how they played. It was kind of a little bit on the back of FRC missing a dagger or two onto Chronix. They could have turned it. Sniper pressures. They couldn't get him down. Kept them off the objective and just denied SSG any percentage.
It was a quieter round from Freeze God. Did have some kills. Wasn't quite the 5-0 performance that we saw in the first mid. They're able to continue to stagger this fight out. They'll feel A-okay on defense. Mitao connects onto Chronix. Freeze God went searching. Mitao said, I got this one, buddy. Another double kill as the Freeze God tear continues.
I like the little bit of tech that Chronix used actually when it got dove earlier. I don't think a lot of people probably think about this when they're playing Kinessa, but as soon as you go to the teleporter, you just look somewhere else.
Right.
You kind of just give them misdirection. They don't know exactly where that's going to end up. He ended up on the floor around the second turn of the cart.
Right.
And FRZ had no idea where he went. It kind of allowed Chronix to just keep firing as the fight went on. Combined shots from Rhino and Chronix take down Ares there. And SSG's aggressive defense won't actually be halted too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
They can kind of just keep this pressure going, because if they die, they'll respawn in time to contest anyway.
And that's just it. Kanga just trying to get to the payload, which has been moving back to its starting spot. There's some life from Evil Eye. 2 kills for the Eevee. Chronix as well cleans up Freeze. Now the payload can start to move forward. Top damage for Chronix, not too surprising. Yet again, one of the frontliners for Spacestation, most notably Rochelle. Top damage for his team. Not that close to Chronix, but the barrack damage is certainly there and present.
Constantly trading into the Inara when she has to be the only one contesting the objective. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's constantly forced to do that. There's no other way. There's nothing else Jules can really do. They can't afford to give up that cap time.
That's free damage.
Yeah, exactly. Just free firing onto Jules over there. Jules half HP. Damba able to keep him pocketed up there, but this pressure on the side. Evil Eye and Rhino. FRZ put very low, but he misses the shots.
Oh.
So low backed up, but FRZ can't afford to move. He's too low himself. Health bars awful across the board for SSG, and Mitao goes down. There's no bringing them back up now.
And tried for the bait and switch. Didn't work out. If nothing else, though, it forced Freeze God back. He hasn't been able to participate because once he does, that happens. Good kill onto Evil Eye. Ares down, backing off as Kanga summit the mountain. Somehow we're tied up at 2. A complete reversal of control in this game. And Kanga bring it right back.
Little adaptation from Kanga, just playing a little bit more around Freeze's aggression, saving maybe some ultimates to punish that. I think SSG were like, oh, mid 2, we got Midnight. Let's get it.
Right.
And then just too much to counter it, really. I don't think they were. I think they were just too ready for the aggression from SSG. I expect SSG to maybe slow things down just a little bit. Control the middle of the map. Try to stay out of line of sight of Chronix, and once they get a pick, then make a move. Less people to peel for Chronix, less people to stop the onslaught of the tanks, and less people to support Joel's.
Right. I guess on the flip side, if you're Spacestation, you just try to somehow volley yourself 5 more kills for Freeze God. Dance around, find some poke. They were able to kind of chunk down Kanga a little bit. That allowed Freeze God to move forward. Really take advantage of a lot of that. Honestly, they identified Joel's early on in the first mid as well, and they were down their only point tank, their only tank in general, and they were able to take advantage. And Overpower will do it. Uber Eats a kill right to Freeze God's doorstep.
How much
Hits
did
the
they pay you
daggers,
for that?
does it? What?
How much do they pay you for that? That's one of their sponsors.
Plenty, plenty. Oh wait, actually, that works out really well for me. Good job, Dave. I didn't even realize, I totally forgot that it was a Space Station Gaming thing. The rest of the fight continues in the background, though, and Freeze God right back to early game form. A double kill on the Maeve. Now getting some healing, 75%. No chance, maybe unless they just start to jump onto the point for Kanga Esports. Good zone from Ares. Gonna rely on Evil Eye. Ice block not in time for the touch. Chronix got a kill, actually, so might have been interesting if he were able to start overtime, but he's not. Now Space Station Gaming, they're on set point.
That was actually purely on the back of Mitao. Mitao void gripped it. That's kind of what made it happen. Enlightenment used by Ares does not connect, but 3 for him in this fight. Potentially 4. It is 4, but I think anyone could have gotten that kill. As they move forward here. They need to stagger this out, I think, if they want to get ground, because if they give this surrounding area to Kanga, I think it's going to be too tough for them to pull through. Too much disadvantage height-wise for both of their tanks, and Chronix kind of on a pedestal saying, please shoot me, but it's enough to pick Ares.
Might stall out Space Station. Not going to stall out Freeze God, though. He's trying to stay aggressive, diving into the back line, trying to juke out a few of the shots. Realizes a passy Kinessa fight is not one he wants to take. Close to full strength now for SSG. Midtow has through time and space. Could be game-changing if he's able to connect. They know where Guerra is fighting from, at least, and where Evil Eye's trying to blink in from up to the top left there through time and space. No go on that one. Seismic crash to counter out just a little bit from Kanga Esports. Things begin to fizzle out one more time. Good Void Grip. Joel's might get melted down here, and if that's the case, Kanga Esports are going to be in a bad spot frontline-wise. Joel just needs a little bit more damage. He's able to help his team take a couple with him. Midtown gets that kill. A minute left. Spacestation Gaming back off. Try to regroup.
Kanga had a great response there, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but Sadak actually just flanked. He was on their high ground, and he didn't take the teleporter. He walked all the way from the right, all the way past the cap point, and all the way up past the saw blade, but he made it there. Just, unfortunately, DR and Anar is really good. Leon wasn't able to burn through it in time, and Joel's found the picks from it. I really wish SSG had waited and found a combo to use with the through time and space, but
smart.
Great bait by Xiao, forces to fly in, and that's a lot of pressure down for Kanga. Another flank coming in from Sadak, but the overpower's missed. That potential off the board right now for SSG.
Looking for another flank, deciding if he wants to go up high, and now might be the time with Rhino being dead. Joel's falls as well. Space Station Gaming maybe starting to roll this one. They were down 3-1. They've won 2 straight, almost maybe make it 3. Freeze got in on the zone, 2 seconds left. Aries might just seal it up with a kill onto Evil Eye. Kanga Esports not in range to get a touch. Space Station Gaming, they're gonna seal it up and they're gonna complete the almost reverse sweep and win it in 7.
Closest thing to a reverse sweep we've seen, but I said it earlier, and then I regretted it when they were down 3-1, but doubleheader SSG, you don't want to be on the other side of it.
I guess not. And what a way to get not only your first win in the second split of the PPL, but the second win as well. A little bit distraught in there, Kanga, for good reason. You're up 3-1, and then you lose 3 straight games. Again, like you said, as close as you can be to a reverse sweep without it actually being the full reverse. It's a tough one for Kanga to swallow. They're going to have to go back to the drawing boards, figure out what happened. But SSG finally break that 7-game curse that they had a little bit, get themselves the win in this one in pretty convincing fashion.
Yeah, and they bring themselves actually, now they've evened it out on the standings.
Yeah.
11-11, finally striking back from that losing streak that they were at. Great on them. I mean, again, they finally got used to that house environment.
Yep.
Everything's finally kicking on all cylinders. Kind of similar to the situation Kanga was in last season. Things are firing up for Kanga starting this phase, but I guess it's picking up for SSG a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I still think, even though Kanga lose today, even though they're kind of in that 6, 7, 8 spot, they're still a very good team in this league. Nobody to take for granted if you're ever matching up against Kanga. But SSG in 7 games find themselves the win. Let's send it back to the desk and hear what they're thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. Very solid play. Good stuff. SSG looking good, feeling good, I'm sure. A game 7 all the way from SSG, able to make it back to trying to keep it straight face. The thing is that SSG did really good. Aries on the Leon did extremely well. I mean, that's really all it is I could say about that. I mean, they definitely made it work on Timber Mill.
I mean, to kind of echo Dave's sentiment, Kanga are easily one of the best teams in the league. The problem is that it seems to only ever be for 3 games out of any set.
Right.
That's the biggest issue, is just getting over that hurdle. I mean, they have had historically trouble closing sets out. Being able to find a 4-3 against an IP was really big for them, but not going to find it this time around. SSG flipped this one on its head. And, I mean, you can look at damage numbers, you can look at kills. I think when it comes down to it, the impact is really coming from Aries this time around. You see Mitau with a big streak, Freeze God with a big streak. They just had a solid draft to deal with what Kanga were trying to throw at them.
12, 6, and 12 for the young Aries. 2, 4, and 12 for Richao. 4, 3, and 20 for Mitau. 3, 5, and 12 for Sadak. 16, 4, and 13 for Freeze God. Clearly, extremely good games for these guys on Timber Mill. And, taking what Dave said into account, of course, Kanga, no need to scoff at them or whatever. They did a really good job. That's the whole point. We all end up going to Game 7. Both 2 teams are really strong, but SSG just proved to be a little bit stronger.
Aries just knocked it out of the park with this one. I think that's the biggest thing. We always mention him, kind of I would say, inconsistent overall as far as DPS goes, but man, when he hits hard. And that's the thing that kind of keep... It went from being kind of maybe 50-50 going into game, which is what I would say earlier this year, like at the beginning of Split 1, that's kind of where he was. Now you're going to get him about 85% of the time. He's going to have a pretty solid game. And that other 15%, it's split between 10% you're going to have this kind of performance where it's maybe knockout and can be game-changing, and maybe 5% where you have no idea what's going to show up. He's very consistent, or he's gotten more consistent as time has gone on, and today has been kind of a testament to that. He redeemed himself on the Vivian and on the Kinessa based on the games we saw him lose against Envy on earlier, and that Leon game was just the piece de resistance at the end.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we can't not have a victory without talking to the victors themselves. We have Sadak and Aries on standby for this interview.
Absolutely right, Fawn. Here we are with Sadak and Aries. Big 7-game win for Spacestation Gaming. Aries, a couple redemption stories here. You get a second chance with Vivian, another chance with Kinessa. Are you feeling a little bit better about those two after this set?
Yeah, for sure. I was really prepared to play with these champions. And sometimes just because things don't look like should be, like, you just keep moving, you know? Sometimes it's just a bad game.
So I noticed you guys changed your bands up as the series went on, and played on Ice Mines pretty well. And something you kind of been banning historically for a long time. Have you been finally listening to me and practicing Ice Mines, or?
There's a smart guy that used to talk to us like, why you guys keep banning Ice Mines? You guys play good in this map. And then we just like just playing everything right now. And we've been like the map that we're not feeling comfortable to play in the day, you know.
And looking at you know, both Strix and Kinessa, that's obviously something that Kanga really liked. If you guys didn't ban it, or if they didn't ban it, they would basically take the Strix anywhere. Is that something you expected specifically against Kanga, or is Strix that good for anyone?
Kanga just loves Strix. They love Strix. I don't know why, but I mean, he's really strong, but we know how to maneuver around him. So,
speaking about Kanga in general, you guys kind of flipped the tank matchup as the game went on. Rhino and Joel's weren't really able to do too much in the later rounds. Was that something you guys changed in your play, or was that just, I think, fatigue getting to them?
I think we understood how they were playing. So as the games went on, we just knew how to take advantage from the tanks they have. So yeah.
You guys have a matchup against Na'Vi tomorrow. How do you feel going into that one?
It's gonna be a hard one, but for sure we're gonna prepare for that. So expect a lot from us.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate your time, guys. Congratulations. Big couple of wins. 2 for 2 today.
Yes.
Looking to make it 3 for 3 against Na'Vi tomorrow. That's it for us here today. Let's send it back to the desk to wrap things up.
Thank you guys for that. Really appreciate that. Of course, SSG won both of their games today. I agree. I really want to see if they're able to go 3 for 3 tomorrow. We're going to take a look at the schedule and see what we have in store. Of course, today was a 3-game set. Well, it was a 3-set day, I should say. Spacestation Gaming versus Team Envy. Of course, SSG came out on top of both of their games today. Nadas Vincere came out over PK with a 4-0. PK, however, playing Kanga tomorrow, and Nadas Vincere playing SSG tomorrow. Of course, what that means that we're back to a 2-game day. Normal scheduling, so that means that we're going to be back streaming here at 1 p.m. once again for everybody that's curious.
Yeah, so being able to come through normal time as a normal day would start in 2 sets. Envy not going to be playing, unfortunately for them, taking a loss in their only set this week. But SSG have to kind of keep the ball rolling. They get 2 out of 3 so far. They have 1 more to be able to try and find them. And that could potentially shift their position. I mean, right now it is a fight to be in the top 4. Just a few sets still between them that is going to be coming down. But I think actually only 1 game difference between them and Envy right now. So it's a lot more, but 14-9 for both Envy and VP. Very, very close to where NIP is in terms of score. I mean, 2 through 3, very close. 5 kind of isolated on its own island. 6 and 7 going to be trading places with them. So I'm interested to see how these teams continue to adjust since we're kind of in the last leg of the stretch.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I agree with that too. I mean, tomorrow, of course, we're going to have some, I'm sure we're going to have some bangers of games. PK versus Kanga, and then we have Nadas Vincere versus Na'Vi. Of course, they won their game today too, so it's really going to be a matter of whether Na'Vi can continue this little hot streak right here. However, that's it, guys. We've already shown you all the games it is that we have for today. Of course, be able to tune in tomorrow and check out more stuff. Bye, guys. Love you guys.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
players are here. The stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
Look, HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
If that's second place, I can't wait to see what first place is.
It is HRX.
Forest.